friends. This is the Be Real Babe podcast, a place where your average babes come together to talk about life stresses, messes, and successes. A place where being yourself is the ultimate goal, where your opinion, your story, and your individual experience matters. Join me, your host B, and my guests for real and raw talks every week, laying it all out there so we can all help each other learn more, grow deeper, and evolve collectively. Now keep in mind, as a disclaimer, no one here is an expert and no one is giving any advice. This is strictly our opinions, thoughts, feelings, and for entertainment purposes only. Now with that being said, it's time. So grab your drink, grab your joint, and let's jump right in. Welcome everyone. Welcome to the Be Real Babe podcast. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for stopping by the show today. I hope that you have a good time. And if you're a returning listener, watcher, supporter, thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart for coming back time and time again. For those that don't know me, my name is Brandy. I am the host of the show. And today, you guys, we're on episode 220, Being Real About Holistic Business with Lacey and Sofia. You guys, I'm so excited for you to hear this story because it is so powerful and is so important that we talk about situations like this when people are getting hurt and taken advantage of. And this is something that I absolutely had no idea that could happen, or at least to the extent that what happened to these girlies. And my heart just totally broke when I heard what happened to them. And I thought, absolutely, we need to have them on the show to share their experiences so other people, whether that be small business or within holistic space, are just aware that these things can happen and to maybe see some signs. I know we can't obviously always predict and know when we're going to get scammed, but just validating that unfortunately there are shitty people in the world. As much as we don't want to think there is. And today we're unfortunately going to be talking about how one of them messed up quite a few girlies' lives. But before we do that, I just want to remind you, if you're listening on Apple, Spotify, or Rumble, to like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, leave me a comment if you feel so kind. It helps with the algorithm. And make sure to turn on notifications so you know when I drop a new episode, which is every Friday. Reminder that Keeping Up with Canada is now on the YouTube page on the Be Real Babe show on Mondays, and Internet Insanity is Wednesdays. And if you want to find me to book your own episode, to have a conversation with me, and even just give me a topic that you want me to cover, if you want to be a guest or know a guest that should be on the show, you can reach out to me on social media on Instagram and TikTok at the Be Real Babe podcast or the Be Real Babe. And you can also email me at theberealbabe@hotmail.com. Okay, guys, I'm going to shut up because I didn't shut up in this next. I actually did pretty good. I actually listened a lot more in this episode, but I'm very honored that these girls came on the show and they're willing to share their experiences. And I think you guys are absolutely going to love them. So let's get to it. All right, babes, it's time to get on to the show. And with me today, I have two special guests joining me for their first time. I'd like to welcome Sofia, and Lacey to the show. Hey, babes, how's it going?
Hey.
I'm good.
Oh, good start. I was like, I know I'm going to mess this up. Who am I saying first? Thank you so much for joining me today, ladies. I'm very excited to talk to you today.
Yeah, we're super excited to be here. Thanks for inviting us, Brandy.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yes, and back in, like I said, in December, I started actually following Sofia first on Instagram. Her just like flow, just absolutely. It was the tarot card reading, so I'm like, I'm just learning about this. I'm dragged in, and then all of a sudden, she had posted Lacey's story on Facebook, and it was just before Christmas, and I was just at the end of the episode, and I was like, oh my gosh, you guys, please let me help if I can share your story, because I was just absolutely blown away at how someone could treat anybody this way, let alone people that work for them. And I was like, I got to get these girls on to talk. So thank you so much for making the time to talk to me today. But before we jump in and a little bit more, did you guys know each other before this experience, or did you meet because of this?
We met because of this.
Unfortunately, but also fortunately, because we've like shitty situation, but I'm very grateful and happy to have met the women that I've met through this. So,
and it's just, that's the one thing that I hate to say, but every experience that I come to, what the positive always is, but the women and the support that I've met because of this. And like, it literally gives me goosebumps. So I just wanted to like see that, because that's usually, it's like, it's so shitty, but then you guys all swarm together and stand together. Not all the time, but when it is, it's like lifelong friendships, right? So I imagine that's what's going to happen for you guys. But before we get into the experiences and what happened and what we want to kind of like warn people about today, let's start with like who you are and what you do. And let's maybe start with Lacey. Where are you at now? And your schooling and all that, and we'll lead into Sofia.
So I am Lacey Milowski. I'm a registered nurse. I've been an RN since 2012. And I worked mainly in like a small rural hospital. So I did anything from ER to pediatrics to palliative care. Like we were the end all be all. yeah, it was a super great experience. But during that time, you get to know your patients because you're working in a small town, right? So you're seeing the same people come back in for readmission for things that, you just discharge them for, like, say like a lung infection because of a chronic disease such as COPD. And you're just like, why are these people coming back? So that kind of led me down a rabbit hole after watching a documentary called What the Health. So in that documentary, it talked about how we can actually reverse chronic disease by our diet and lifestyle. So whether that be like the food that you eat, such as McDonald's every day that's loaded of sugar and trans fats and just like not real food. So how are you supposed to like give your body nutrition? How is it supposed to thrive? How is it supposed to get rid of the bad cells in our body and turn over good cells? Well, it can't. And then stress is another one that hinders it. So then it's just kind of like you're looking at your population, you're looking at what their lifestyle is like, their dietary, and you're just kind of correlating things. And then you're like, okay, so let's look at the medication. So my patient is on 25 different medications, and you ask them, okay, why do you take this? Why do you take this? Well, I don't know. The doctor gave it to me. I was like, okay, why do you take this one? Well, because it's to combat the side effects of this medication. Yeah. And I'm like, fair enough. Okay. So after that kind of like opened up a rabbit hole, I noticed that my husband was getting psoriasis. And then from there, I was like, okay, stressful life. Like he was owning his own heavy equipment construction business. He loves chips, like so he has that inflammation. He was also a smoker at the time, so it was just constant stress and inflammation in his body, which is like cascading a different system in like a different cascade in your immune system. So it's pro-inflammatory. So in his body, it was just causing psoriasis, and people think, well, psoriasis is just a skin thing. But it's not, because it has so much to do with the inside of your body, because your skin is your largest organ. Yeah. So what's going to happen if you have inflammation? Well, it's going to come out in the skin first, but there's also so much more damage that is being done. So watched a couple more documentaries, and then I was like, okay, the internet is a wonderful source. So just kind of go down a rabbit hole, and I had him taking like 25 different supplements and changing his diet, but guess what? His psoriasis went into remission. And I was like, holy shit, wow. So this really does work. So from there, I tried to help my mother who had rheumatoid arthritis, and then like trying to talk to the other nurses in the hospital that I was working at. They're like, oh, what are you doing? Like, why would you do that? Why? So from there, I had this passion inside me to just like, what if people knew that what they were doing is causing like their health issues? Yeah. Would people change if they knew that their current lifestyle is going to give them type 2 diabetes or high blood pressure that will kill their kidneys? Like, would they change? So I took an online course, and I mostly did it during my night shifts. Oh, wow. when I could. So
you nurses are nuts, the amount of stuff you do. Like, I could barely handle my 9 to 5. Like, yeah, so I work night shift, and then I went to school all day. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Crazy. Well, luckily it was like an online course, but
but still,
I took my advanced diploma in holistic nutrition through Nutriforia, which is a Canadian online school, and cool. I just learned so much information. Like, it was a 2-year course, and then from there, like, you can branch out into other things. So I took extra courses in gut health, autoimmune, hormone health. Like, I couldn't stop. Like, I'm just like, okay. And then I tried to do this on my own. So I tried to like open up my Facebook group and try and get people to come in, and I would help coach them and help them heal. It wasn't necessarily to make money. It was just to help people, because I just have like an internal struggle of charging people for information that they should know. Like, that's what public health should be doing, in my opinion. Yeah. Like, hey,
controversial one, but just kidding.
Let's prevent illness.
What?
Let's help empower somebody. Like,
we just like Band-Aids.
Like, today, I think I heard like 3 Ozempic commercials, and I'm like, that's it.
My God,
I think I need Ozempic. Like, jeez.
Yeah, and then the flip
brainwashing.
side, someone's like, "Oh, this is just like GLP-1s," and I'm like, "Who is asking for this? Like, who? Why are we going back to this? Like, y'all remember the like early 2000s? Why are we going back to this? Like, what's happening?"
Yeah.
So, yeah, like I really tried to get this up and going on my own. So I was like working full time and then trying to do protocols on the side, and it basically consumed my life. But that's the passion that I had to try and help people.
Of course.
So my friend, she sent me this job advertisement for the holistic RN, and I had seen her company briefly online, like probably a year prior to this job posting. And I'm like, I don't know, like she's kind of flaky. I don't know what I think about her content. Like it's so basic.
Yeah.
And I guess I just went like more in depth with my training. And hers was just like how to eat healthy. I'm like, everybody should know that. Like, what are we doing? But yeah, I didn't really want to apply, but something was just like, maybe you should. Maybe you should, because she has, you know, a couple thousand followers. She says that she's established. She wants to open 3 clinics in Alberta and get coverage, like health insurance coverage to provide this service. So somebody could use their insurance, have this program paid for. Well, it sounds like a good business model, right?
Of course.
Somebody
Yeah.
who's established. So I applied, and yeah,
And then
I got in.
And you got in. and TBD.
Yeah. And
that'll be to be continued.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing before we jump over to Sophia, which I just really found really interesting, is that you went to school to become nursing, but then you found another piece of like, I feel like whatever you maybe learned maybe should be a part of what you already have learned. Is that like, I'm ignorant to it, y'all. I have high school diploma and like college 1-year business admin. Okay, I've worked in admin my whole life, so I don't know, but I feel like the stuff that you guys were learning and that light that brought to you with prevention, is that not something that should have been included more?
So in nursing school, we did learn about how to lower your blood pressure with exercise and healthy eating, but the healthy eating we learned, Sophia, was the Canada Food Guide.
Yeah, that's what I mean, right? So I'm just like,
with all
it's
the
so
bread
confusing.
at the top or whatever it is.
Yeah, like use the triangle and
it's just interesting when you were talking about that, how much you lit up about learning that stuff. So obviously it is what's in true alignment to you, and maybe why you're sitting in there feeling like, hey, I'm from a small town too. I get it. You're like, everybody knows everything. It's a little, and then when you see people out in the real world and the small world, and then you're seeing them in the hospital, and you're like, oh, you could just fix this with that. But that's what I'm not really not allowed to tell you. But that's not the status quo of how to tell you to heal. Let's take this medication and go on your way until you come back with an ulcer from having like 16 of them, and then we're shocked that people are sick. Anyways, Sophia, what about yourself? How did your career start, and that led you to meeting Lacey?
So my career, I graduated from MacEwan in Edmonton, Alberta. Now I'm in Vancouver Island, but I graduated there in 2019, and then immediately after started working as a float nurse on the adult general medicine float pool at University of Alberta, and that was more than 15 units that I was trained on. It was a lot. It was like the only job I could get. I had so many interviews, and I had even like preceptored on a unit that was orthosurgery, and then an orthosurgery unit wouldn't hire me. Like that unit wouldn't hire me. So anyway, so this job, I know I was meant to be there. I know that I was meant to learn a lot and see a lot there. And at this point, like you were talking about, shouldn't you learn that in your degree? Yeah. They indoctrinate you in pretty much all degrees, I think, at this point, to make it about the profit. And that's like when you said like, hey, that's interesting that you kind of found like another route after when you started like becoming a nurse. Because I was like, oh, like I'm an RN now. I'm working at the hospital. I'm making a decent wage. Like this is where I'm at, right? Like this is my adult life. And then no, because less than a year later, well, first of all, this is another story, but I was actually stuck in Guatemala when everything shut down in March, and I had a separated shoulder. And anyways, so when Trudeau was like, everybody come home, we were like, we can't. Like we were booking flights that were getting canceled. I lost thousands of dollars. That was a whole thing. So that was
we'll
where
have you on for part 2 of your experience during the pandemic. My spouse was in Florida, and his work was like, no, you could stay. And I was like, I'm not afraid of COVID. I'm afraid of my spouse being in a different country than me and not being able to get back home. So I'm like, no, I'm sorry. So
yeah,
I'm like, if I like broke his shoulder in another country, he was just in fucking Florida.
Yeah.
And that was stressful. I couldn't even imagine. Girl, whoa.
You could make an episode just about my experience in Guatemala.
Done.
Like,
we'll rebook it.
Oh my God. They had to, I'll mention more, but they had to check our temperatures, and they would bring like army guys, whatever, with these massive guns just to stand there. Anyways, so, and at this point, like, I don't know where everybody is at and on their like awakening journey. There's always multiple levels to that. My first level of awakening to this is about fear and control was that. But, oh, I just got chills. But at the time, it was like, why though? It was like how dare they, and why do I have to listen? And because I grew up in a very, like, I was in the Ukrainian community, very religious, very structured, and I followed every rule, and that's just how I was as a person. So my awakening throughout like 2020 to 2022 was like an unraveling of like, oh, well, like, why would they lie about this? And like, so for example, I worked on the general adult medicine units, and one of those actually turned into like a COVID unit, like a confined COVID unit. And I didn't have a choice of where I got scheduled, but they would put me on that unit. Like sometimes they would put me like for 2 weeks at a time, like if somebody was off sick or something. I was the like substitute, and they would change the rules every day. Like I would show up and like night shift. Most of my shifts were night shifts. I would work 12-hour night shifts, like 90% of them. I enjoyed it because I made more money, and honestly, because learning now, the LED lights affect me a lot, and that's why I like to work at night, because I could just like turn my screen on orange and actually have some peace. But anyways, so the rules would change every day. One day I would walk onto the unit and, oh no, put the N95 on. You're not allowed to even enter the unit because there's more than 3 people on a certain type of ventilator. What? Okay, but they're not in sealed doors. So like, it was just like so stupid, so irrational and illogical. And there was like the IPC people, like infection protocol control people, would come and basically onto that unit, and they would tell us why. Like they would give an explanation of why it's changing, because it's a certain percent of risk above this when like there's 3 versus 2 people on the unit that have a ventilator. And so anyway, so then the next day
this is worse than girl math. This is worse than girl math.
It's so stupid. And I have always been the person that authority hates, because I'm like, but wait, why? And they'll just give the textbook answer that doesn't actually explain. And I'm like, but you're not explaining why. Why yesterday was I able to walk on and not have an N95, and today it's danger, you're at risk? That doesn't make any sense. So my nervous system was completely messed up during all of this. I was completely indoctrinated at that point and just starting to question. And then like people always ask me, what was your turning point? There was probably 5 or 10 different things that I could list, but one of them that really like, I was driving somewhere long distance, I think with my dog alone, and I was listening to an audiobook of, I don't even remember what it was, and I didn't finish it because I was just like, I had to pull over. I started crying. It gave some statistic about I don't remember exactly what the number was, but the statistic said that the placebo effect is more effective at treating depression than antidepressants. And I was, at the time, I didn't like medications, but at the time I was on Ativan, an ADHD medication, an antidepressant, and a sleeping medication because of everything, like the radiation, the confusion, the lies. And I literally felt like just crashing my car. I was like, what the fuck? Like, intrusive thought. I pulled over, bawled my eyes out, and I never finished that book because I was just like, every time I went to my doctor and asked her, what's wrong? What do I do? I went to her for guidance. I trusted her. She would hand me a pill. She would not ask me, were you getting vitamin D? She did not ask me what kind of protein sources or healthy fats I was getting in my diet, or if I knew anything about seed oils or omega 3s or 6s. Nothing. So it's just, yeah. Anyways.
No, it's just to that point though. So many people, I feel like for myself going into the pandemic, I had an awakening because of birth control prior to that. So when the wording started coming out about safe and effective and for your health and all that, I immediately had triggers been like, I've been here before with birth control. Like I don't, and I've been here in abusive relationships. You're gaslighting me right now. And to your point, like even, okay, so I work in the cannabis industry. At the time I was working at a growers, and my spouse, I'm in Kelowna. My spouse was just driving to Vancouver, 4 hours on the highway by himself. They made me wear an N95 mask by myself whenever I, like on the floor, you'd have to wear like a normal like nurse mask or whatever because of the plants, which fine. That's Health Canada rules for the plants. That's okay, fine. But when you come out and you're having lunch, so I'd have this N95 I have to lift up and like put food in my mouth and like put it back for like 3 months just because my spouse drove to Vancouver, worked on a plant and came back. He was by himself. I don't even think he's seen people. And it was just like, that was insanity to me. So and like I felt very isolated and alone and like a disease. And I'm not even close to being at the ground, and I couldn't imagine. And let me just say, like, I've been talking about this shit for a long time for people like you that were on the like ground. Like, how can you say this is like so awful, but you're making these people work in it? And you're like, oh my gosh. Anyway, sorry, you just validated why I opened my mouth 3 years ago and why I will continue to open my mouth, because yeah, so to the point of like I had that, and then I went the pandemic and I got to watch a lot of people have their awakening through like, why is there a death toll on the TV? Like it started with COVID and then it amplified with the vaccine. But just in a couple episodes before, we had a girl that was a school teacher in Ontario, and she was pushed to get the vaccine, and now she has her job in life right now, besides taking care of her kids, is to not die. And like what? And like, you guys must have been so torn between what you want to do to help and help people to what they were telling you to do. And I imagine that's probably what really helped push you out of the systems. It sounds like both of you were like, hey, this isn't really aligning. This isn't really helping in healthcare in the way that I want to see it. It's kind of now this like pharmacare system is kind of what I seen. And so for me, it was like, yeah, all these things, you're depressed. Oh, go on an SSRI. It's like, and I went on it and I hated myself. I hated myself. And instead, guess what? I practice gratitude. I drink water. Crazy. I go outside. I'm aligned purposely. I eliminate stress, just those things that no one, like basics that we fucking know. But like, anyway, sorry. So, okay. So we come to this, we've had our moment. We've seen it. We're in the hospitals. We had schooling. We really believed in that system. We wanted to leave. Sophia, you got out after that. Where did that lead you into the holistic RN? And then we'll go into back to Lacey and take her away from
funny enough
experience with that.
You mentioning, I think you said something about someone is just surviving now. Mm-hmm. I actually was hesitant about getting the thing. And they started coming out for like emerge nurses in like January or something like that. I waited. It was April and I was still unsure. And one of my family's member told me, you should just get it. And I said, okay, because once again, my morals and my culture and like all of those things that were so instilled in me at the time, they've faded a little bit now, because like learning and discerning, like, where are my boundaries and where do I stay loyal to other people and cultures and stuff like that and family. I got the first one. I didn't notice anything. June I got the second one. I started having some symptoms, but I was a very anxious person and I was having like panic attacks before work, even during that summer. So it could have been related to that. It might have not been. But anyways, I got 2 doses. 2 months later, I was unable to work at all. And I took, what is it called? I took disability. And then with like intent of like, I don't know if I'm going to go back. I would like to find somewhere where I feel better about working and where I'm not panicking before every shift. Because I didn't know what was happening at the time, but my body knew that something was wrong. I didn't know what it was, and I was trying to figure it out. And basically for 2 years after that, I was unable to work or make any money for myself. I was just taking care of myself. What I now know at the time was a lot of kidney and mitochondrial issues is what I was dealing with. And now I just texted Lacey a few days ago and was like, hey, I have a flare up. Can you help me? Like, cause it's like I know all of the things, but I don't know what I might be missing at the time. So it's gotten way better. And honestly, like, I can't be mad in a way because I'm getting better now. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I asked the universe for wisdom and knowledge. And
don't get to choose the vessel and the message, do we?
Yeah, you don't get to choose how. So yeah. I'm just like, I'm mad because lots of times not mad, but like I'm frustrated. I have emotions. I don't know. I'm allowed to feel them, but I know that I have to be the martyr in order to help other people. And it also ties into this situation with Holistic RN. If I have to be the martyr to scream from the rooftops to listen to your intuition before, or like know your intuition before making big moves for yourself or big decisions is like one of the biggest things that I would argue for this. But
absolutely.
Yeah,
so as if I think it's fair to say that you're both in a position where you're looking for something more, maybe felt like not maybe vulnerable, but really looking for that. And I get what you're saying, Lacey, too, where you have that gut instinct and you're like, but I would do the same thing. Like, I think we didn't grow up with social media, so we're just really learning to understand what that means. So even though we know that followers or how people are on social media isn't how they could necessarily be in real life, I think most of us just want to be good people and assume that there's good people in the world. Like, I don't want to live in a fucking world where every account I look at, like, oh, she's obviously a fake bitch and she's going to scam me. Like, I really don't want to live in that type of world. So I think that's one thing too, that through all of this, I really see like that you guys haven't, like, you're mad and you're frustrated, but you haven't hardened because you're still wanting to help people. So like commending you guys a lot for, please have the anger and the revenge is like sharing this so that people don't get away with it. Like, she will meet her maker, I'm sure, right? Like, we'll get into that, but it's just beautiful that you guys are like, yeah, okay, whatever, you suck, but I still want to help people. And
that's what we're here to do. We're not here to make money like other people.
Exactly. And that's what's so frustrating. Well, I find sometimes, because like, let's say for the show, is that I always want to share people's experiences, and that might not be, and sometimes a lot of the shit I talk about is controversial. So that might not get a bunch of views as much as like if I was to talk about sex all day, like, or you know what I mean? And like, no shade to that, but that's where I also get frustrated. It's like, I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it to help other people so that they don't feel alone. So someone that hears your guys' story, either whether that's the COVID or even just getting out and going from nurses to holistic and the small business, they now are more prepared to stand up for themselves, see the red flags, know those nuggets. And it's shitty that you guys had to go through it, but like, thanks again for like being vulnerable and being the martyrs. I'm that person too. I'm like, I don't have to be right. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm gonna scream anyway.
Yeah.
So going back, so Lacey, you applied, she got the job, or were you one of the, I know there's more than just you guys, were you one of the first in, or one of the, so no offense, it's starting to sound like MLM here. I'm feeling like a little culty thing going on here a little bit.
Okay, we should probably timestamp this. So this was a few years ago. So if we sound like we're really trying to crawl back into some files in our brains, we are, because this story is so messed and there's lots of twists and turns. So
there's a lot of lies too.
It was full of lies. So I want to say it was January of 2023, was it, Sophia?
I think so.
2022. That she took applications. She was looking for 20 nurses all over Alberta. And what was really intriguing about this is that we could work remotely. So for me, that was big, because the job that I had, I was with for 4 years. I really liked my patients. I didn't like the system and the politics, and it wasn't aligning with where I needed to be, because it was all just drug based. I was not allowed to talk about lifestyle and diet with my patients. That was against the rules, because I was working for a pharmaceutical company. Fair enough.
I mean, okay. Fair. Don't bite the hand that feeds, I guess.
It paid the bills. I had job security, and my patients really loved me because I was an open book. And guess what? I reported every adverse event there was.
Hell yeah, you did. Like, that's all my favorites.
Yeah, it was great. Like, a patient advocate. I was always like doing that. So with this job posting, it was I could do my holistic RN, like holistic coaching, help people reverse their chronic disease. That was kind of my focus. You could kind of dive into any niche you wanted. She said you had full flexibility, creative flexibility. She was going to bring the people. You were just going to do the work. I was like, that sounds good. Okay. And then we had, what was it, like 3-4 weeks vacation paid, unlimited sick days.
I forgot about all of this.
You had a free day off on your birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, flexible hours. I was like, this is too good to be true. Oh, and full benefits. I was like, this is too good to be true. But what do I got to lose, right?
Yeah.
I was like, I'll get paid. It'll be fine. Even if it's slow at the start, like she's saying that she's an established coach for 7 years. So she's got to have all this knowledge that she can share with us. She's going to do all the marketing. I don't have to do anything. I just need to do the work. I just have to do patient care. Perfect. So yeah, I got hired. And same with Sophia and 20 other nurses. And so it was different because we got hired in January and we would not actually start working in our role until like September of that year. So we had 9 months to prepare. We had to take an additional course.
Part.
We had to take an additional course that was about health coaching, and it was an American-based course, and it was $7,000 Canadian. And we had to take it on our own, and that was contingent of us getting hired. And once we finished the course, that was a year long, we would then get 50% reimbursement. Okay. So,
and it said this like, in our contracts.
Yeah,
even
it was in our contract. And we would have to take the course. It was learn as you go, like on your own time, home study. Every month we would have team coaching calls, and she was supposed to like give us like some coaching education. But it was mostly like, we're just going to sit and talk about our day for like an hour and a half. And she was going to pay us for this time. So we signed a contract to all get paid $30 an hour, which is, if you know anything about RN wages, this is $20 an hour less than what we were
like,
making.
that's good for admin, but like not for nurses, not
But once we finished our probationary period, which was a year, and got our health coaching certification through this IIN program, she would bump us up to $40 an hour. And then from there, it was going to be tiered on how much extra education you got, how many clients you pulled in. She said it was like unlimited potential to earn up to $90 an hour. The way that she explained it, she was very smooth in her explanation. She's very much a salesperson. And I was like, okay, so, and she'll pay for any courses we want to take. So in my long-term goals, I thought, I could be a naturopathic doctor. And she could pay 50% of my course, and I would still have established clientele. I don't have to build a business because been there, done that, don't want to do it again.
It's a lot.
It's exhausting.
So much.
It's exhausting. So I kind of dove head in. I had the countdown of when I was done with the pharmaceutical company. I gave my employer 4 months notice so that they could find somebody to replace me, because I was managing the clinic. I was the lead nurse. So I didn't want my patients to go without a nurse. So I gave them 4 months notice. And so September rolls around. I'm done work with them like September 13th. September 28th, we're supposed to be opening this clinic. And she kind of really dragged her feet on finding these clinic locations. I remember in April or May of that year, I said, hey, Brian, like, you really need to find some locations in Red Deer because it's hard.
Yeah.
And you're going to be paying a high rate for rent, like $2,500. She's like, oh, it'll be fine. I was like, red flag. She is not guys, she doesn't know what she's doing, and I should have backed out. But I was like, no, like, this will be good. Like, I'm gonna help so many people.
Trying to stay positive for the sake of what we're doing. Like, we're trying not to freak out. We're trying to have faith in the person in front of us, right? Like,
100%. As I said, you don't want to go to every single person and be like, you're a scammer and you're going to lead me off a cliff. Like, no, I would really like to believe that in 2025 or 2024, that for the most part, people operate from a place of like, I can understand if it was just a flop and she was like, I'm sorry, I flopped, I fucked up. Or in that moment being like, you know what, Lacey, you're right. I might need some help on this. Like, even at putting up the white flag saying, this is what I want. I need more help, right? Because some of us girlies, we bite off more than we can chew. Okay.
All three of those things are things that somebody could have done in that situation, and they would have been better than what she continually chose to do, which is lie to our faces as we figured out what was happening. And
I feel like she's got a mix of like Scientology and like MLM structure here. Like, I'm like, did she reveal Xenu to you guys? Like, is that the end? That, you know, like, not to be like, it's like, oh, you're going to get money layered on this structure. It's like, what? Like, at first, because they're like, this is such a great idea. Like, more I put in, the more I'm going to get, right? Some people have kids. Some people have busy lives. Maybe they have an illness they're working through. So being able to control, like, I go to work 7 to 3:30 every day. Although I work from home some days and I have control, I still got to be there in that block. I still got to output the same amount or it's going to catch up. Wouldn't it be cool to be able to turn up and down the dial as you need? So it's like she made it very enticing, like alleged cult leaders do. That's kind of what, you know, like, because again, mission starts beautifully. Everybody comes together for that mission. They believe in it. And that's where these motherfuckers, these narcissists get this power to then manipulate the goodness in people. And that's exactly what I'm kind of allegedly, I don't want to get sued, is seeing with this person is that, so carry on.
So like a couple weeks before the grand opening, like when she was like telling us about her vision of these clinics, that she was going to have the media there, she was going to make it a big, like whoop-de-doo. She was going to do so much advertising to get the location, people to come into our location. So when it came 2 weeks before, I said to her, like, have you planned like anything for this grand opening? Like, what, like, did you call the radio? Did you call like the local news station? She's like, no. Can you do that? Maybe like just see, like, ask them if they'll just do a little shout out on the radio for free. I was like,
that shit costs lots of money, actually.
What?
But, all right.
So, and then she wanted us to go and get donations from all the local businesses for gift baskets. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't sign up for the marketing. Like, I am very much an introvert.
I thought I was just supposed to nurse. Like, I thought I was just supposed to do the fucking work.
So, yeah, I went to a couple local businesses and asked for handouts, and I contacted the radio station, and they're all like, no, it's like, money. You need to pay me for money. I was like, oh, okay, well, thank you, because I don't have a fucking clue.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for making me put myself in that position. Fuck.
That was like another big flag that this was not gonna work out the way that she portrayed herself. She was supposed to be like the ringleader, the marketer, the manager, the CEO, and we were like a deer in a headlight. Like, oh my god, I just left my steady full-time job to be put into this circus that has a monkey showing us what to do.
That, and at the same time, and not to pile on this, so sorry if I am, but just to like full circle this, it's also that having to then maybe grieve a dream that you have that you might not be able to now be able to do, or might stall that goal that you had, that dream of accomplishment of being like, we're going to be these girlies, we're going to be in this clinics across Alberta, we're all going to come together and talk about prevention and all the things we missed and women empowerment. Not only that, you're like, oh fuck, is this actually going to happen? And I have to, it's like, oh, well, what am I going to do now for my future? Like, that is the fact that it seemed like the care of your guys' future was very minimal makes me really, really sick to my stomach. That like, that's why I work for a corporation. I'm responsible for my job. Like, in a way, like, it's cannabis, so it's something I'm aligned with and I love. But, you know, like, it's because I wouldn't want to have other people's dreams in my hands. I don't think I'm capable. But to arrogantly be just like, sorry.
Well, you kind of set the tone for the rest of the story. But, yeah, We'll get into the extreme embarrassment that we had in front of our clients.
That's very fair. Okay, so leading up to the 28th of September, Sophia, for you, you weren't working, so were you able to just like do the school because of your injury, or were you able to work? How did that flow into the opening for you?
Well, basically, like Lacey said, we had nothing to lose. Now I know I did have something to lose. It felt like I had nothing to lose at the time because I was like, I just have to like get back to work. I just have to like get myself out there again. I took myself off of disability a couple months. Like once this job became more regular hours, like I think August I started working full time. And one of the reasons, I think partially because of our personalities, but also because we had so much more invested, Lacey and myself. We were full time. Most other people were part time, and then maybe one or two other people were full time or close to. And we were the most vocal, and we were also reprimanded the worst and like fired illegally, and it's just crazy stuff. But September, what you were saying before with we're excited, like we're looking around and we see the vision. There was a moment, and I think it was when we were trying to plan that grand opening, and everything kind of just fell on us. Like Lacey, so she was in Red Deer. There were like Red Deer, Calgary, and Edmonton people. I was like Lacey and I actually have never even met in person.
I love that.
Never. We've spoken on the phone. We had staff meetings like multiple times, like from whatever that was, January 2023 until like May. And then, yeah, I think I was supposed to meet her, and then I was sick because we had some kind of like a meeting thing, but I wasn't there. But what was I saying? There was a moment where we looked around and we were like, oh shit. Like it's like you're standing on a building and it starts to fall and you're just all holding each other like, oh my God. That's what it felt like. And something that a lot of us were saying to each other, especially the ones that connected more, were like, this is a real shame because like I really like you and I really wanted to work with you, even if it's remote. And like, there was just a real opportunity for something to be accomplished here and for people to help each other. And what I see looking back now is if our boss had like, I don't know what it is, integrity, something, to just say, hey guys, I'm drowning. I really need help with this, and this. Otherwise, I don't know what to do. I would have respected her so much more because it was like 4 months after that finally everybody was on the same page and we were all like, what's happening? What's she going to say in this video meeting to us this time? And that's when she ends up saying to us, so, like she ended up putting the blame on us I can't remember the wording, but she basically made it sound like we didn't market enough, so therefore we were to blame for the way that the company went. And I don't even remember, like maybe Lacey would have to say like I think that meeting was in like the winter time. I can't even remember, but yeah, grand opening. I just wanted to mention that at the end of September you were experiencing a different grand opening, the Red Deer one, Lacey. Mine, she asked me to go to Tim Hortons that morning to go get coffee. Like she was not prepared at all. And she asked us to get like donations and stuff like that. She also asked us to, I think, either furnish the offices or bring donations for like to decorate them and stuff. So she told us that she, I think, was going to use the money that she sold they had a food truck, her and her husband. I think the plan was to use the money that they sold from that for the business. So I, and maybe a lot of other people, made the assumption that like they were funded and they were able to do things. But like, so when I went and bought things for this grand opening, which I never got it reimbursed for, by the way, and then 2 weeks later my payment was missed, and then 2 weeks after that, like we just never got paid after that, basically. And it was just like thousands and thousands of dollars owed,
like for none of it.
Yeah,
No, we can get more into the logistics of that, but we're trying to paint a good story.
No, I know. No, you keep
Yeah,
going.
it's hard.
It's like when I read it and I got the vibe and I seen some things, you know what I mean? You're just like, hey, hold on. Hold on. My brain's still processing. I know you guys went through it. I'm still kind of.
You literally had to study the timeline.
I don't blame you.
Sophia and I spent some time with a Google Doc trying to just document all the bullshit. But so we painted the story of the grand opening being a shit show and like no direction. So during our grand opening, meanwhile, the girls are supposed to introduce themselves to these people that are coming in and talk about the business and their plan, like their coaching programs. These girls didn't have a fucking clue what their job was going to be because they're still trying to do this coaching program. So I had a diploma in holistic nutrition. I've been trying to do this on my own. So I knew how to talk to people. I knew what the goal was. So I did a lot of the talking. But I felt so embarrassed that my team was sinking because they didn't know what they were talking about. They didn't know what the goal was. Brianne was basically just trying to get people's emails so that she could put it in her computer for her email list. That was basically what she did.
There was also these things that I'm now remembering because I had a friend that went to my grand opening. What are they called? QR codes. I think it was a contest or like you scanned it and you got a free something when you scanned it. I can't remember what it was, but my friend came and she texted me immediately after the event and said, hey, the QR code isn't working for some reason. And then I texted the boss and I said, hey, it's not working. And this was the answer whenever something wasn't working, was either, oh, it's a glitch, or, oh, try it again. It should be working now. And it was never working again. So
the QR code was for a free nutrition program. So it was like an ebook or something. So with Brianne, what I learned is that this IIN coaching program was so imperative that we take because she based her own coaching programs and the way that she delivered things and the way that she conducted a coaching interview with a client on exactly how this IIN program was laid out.
Copy paste.
It was a copy paste. There was nothing like special about the way that she did anything. Like even her
plagiarism in some. I know there's not, but like there's got to be something somewhere where you should actually know what you're not being that way, but like you shouldn't be able to just take a program and copy and paste it and sell it. Like there should be like actual knowledge application or something for you to be able to like. It scares me how many people can make a course now like that.
There was nothing genuine about it. And then to go even deeper into that course, like it was very generic. You didn't have to be a nurse. It wasn't anything medical. It was just like any Joe Blow off the street could have taken it, and it was just like how to talk to people. It didn't like it talked a little bit of nutrition, a little bit about hormones, but not to the degree that I had or like probably Sophia had just from Googling shit.
I have said to people, majority of my knowledge from like what I do, helping people now as a job, comes from self-research from the time that I was like bedridden sick from the 2 doses of the thing. I learned more in those 2 years of research than I did in my degree, and also I learned nothing in this course.
Also, with this course, she got a kickback.
Yeah.
From every person
we figured that out on our own.
We did, because I was like, we got so many emails about being an IIN ambassador. I said, I would never support this program. And then so I just like clicked on it, and so you get 10% back. So if she had, 18 nurses sign up at $7,000, that's $126,000 times like 10%. Like it's a
like,
lot.
Yeah, $13,000.
So it doesn't necessarily sound like, it sounds like very bad mismanagement. Obviously, it's not like maybe there wasn't money coming in, but it doesn't sound like, like I feel like it could have been successful with the right leader, with someone. And like you said, Sophia, if she would have been like, hey, this is, and hey, I've been there too. I've had things. I just had one of my girlfriend's birthdays last night. So yeah, we can have it at my house. And then as the time, I'm like, I bit off more than I could chew, turn into a Pinterest mom for a minute, and I was like, girls, you got to come early. I can't, but and we do that. Okay. We do that. We're all, because we have big dreams. And I think that's amazing. And I love people that have that energy. And that's probably what sucked you in. Is like, oh, I want to give grace. Like, I think we want to lead by always giving grace with people. We don't know what they're going at home, but then it's like all these red flags start to come up and you're just like, okay, at what point? And what's shitty is that I think this would have been so successful if you had the right leader, or said leader would have been like, hey, this is a little much. I need to call some people up, because I'm the same way, Sophia. I would have done that. If I believe in the end dream, I would add extra overtime to get us there. I would do that because we know all that work long term that could pay off. Work remotely, help people, be free of the system, build something new with a bunch of beautiful women, not just in one place, across Alberta. Like, that is so cool. And then that.
Yeah, like, and she had promised us so much, like, education and mentorship, and we had none of that. I remember Sophia calling me the one day. She's like, I have no mentorship. I've asked Brianne, and she told me to fucking figure it out on myself.
She basically, my first week of full-time work in that office, I was like the first one to start, I'm pretty sure. Maybe one other nurse started right after me, but I was basically there alone, no one to collaborate with. And then I would run into an issue because, like, we're still learning how all these systems and apps and everything work. And she went through this stuff with us, like, for 20 minutes at a time. And it was so disorganized. It's like she would train me and one other person one day and then 3 people the next day, but she was repeating herself and doing the same thing each time. So it was at that point that I was like, how efficient are you? Anyways, like, and for me, you said, like, we want to give people grace and everything. For me, it was about, well, I wouldn't be doing better than her in this situation. So, like, what am I to say, or who am I to say, like, you're doing this wrong? Whatever. Like, well, then help me. Oh, I don't know how. Like, like, so yeah, I just think people need to communicate when they need help. But
ego is a bitch.
Exactly. Yeah. If you have not healed your ego, then your business is going to come down with you. But if you've healed your ego and you can help everyone and communicate in a, like,
human way,
I just like
a collaborative way, not figure it the fuck out. Like, I'm sorry, people hate on corporations, and I totally get it, but no one, not even the top male at my company or anybody, would say anything like that. It'd be like, okay, let's figure it out. Maybe I don't know the answer, but let's walk through it. You know what I mean? Like, that support. And it's just like, I really struggle with people, and social media has done this so well that they could be so fake and pretend to be someone on the outside. And this is my biggest thing, because then they have victims, and the victims completely have a different situation. You bring it up, she's not like that. Look at her. She's so loving and giving. You're just like, but she's putting me through hell. I think that was one of the things that caught me the most on your post, Lacey, was like, someone that helps people heal trauma while, like, not looking at the trauma that's being caused. And that's just so dangerous. Not even
creating more trauma than you are healing. Are you a trauma healer? No.
Or a dealer here. Are you a trauma healer or dealer? Because you look like you might be leaning towards a trauma dealer here. Like, and the thing is like, people make mistakes, but if you're trained in that, I think, to me, in that moment, it would really question, like, were you trained? Did you absorb anything you trained? Like, what are you doing here? So the couple weeks, so you guys opened 3 different clinics.
Yeah.
In, like, the same.
I'm trying to
and
remember.
They're all a mess.
Yeah.
All within a few weeks of each other.
It was like a month. Yeah.
Edmonton was first. Red Deer and Calgary were the same week, but they didn't do a grand opening for Calgary because it was just like an office within a building.
It was like 2 people.
Whereas Red Deer had this massive office with 5 different private rooms. And it was off of Gasoline Alley. It was like a $5,500 a month rent. And then Edmonton's office was just as big and beautiful. It was like $6,500 a month rent. And we didn't even have a sign saying the Holistic RN. There was nothing. No signage. I had to, like, make something on my computer and put it on the front window so that...
Sign. I have a sign. Yeah. I know how to make money.
She just said, oh, it's coming. I said, people don't know where we are. People don't know we're open. Like, you haven't advertised anything. You haven't paid for any, like, even Facebook marketing. Like, she wouldn't pay for anything. we had to make content. We had to make blog posts. She wanted us to do webinars. I'm sorry, but your staff doesn't know anything because they haven't gone through the program. So she wanted us to do webinars like right away to generate people. These were going to be live. And from there, we were supposed to sell our programs. We're not salespeople. We don't know what we're doing. We had no guidance.
Nor should you be. What do you say? You shouldn't know sales. You shouldn't what? That shouldn't. Again, like this is kind of like I'm sorry, I keep hitting on MLMs, but it's just like when the Beachbody people are like saying they're personal trainers, and you're like, what are you talking about? You need more. There's got to be more.
No. So that's where the blame came for. Like I had signed 2 clients.
Yeah, I think Lacey and I were actually the first 2 people that got a client and started working. And so,
I thought she was bringing people to you, though. I thought that was the whole bit.
That was our security, right? That's why we signed up, but that never happened. She said that she had a waiting list of people waiting for us to open up this clinic.
And I'm not saying that there wouldn't be, because a lot of us are looking for alternative healthcare, right? Like, especially if you're going to be able to set it up with insurance, like we all know we're all struggling. So adding what we already have to pay for free healthcare, and all the extra stuff that we have, right? But it's like, okay, well, if I go to a naturopath, I literally have to pay out of pocket for the majority I get. Like, so to be able to hear, like, there's going to be insurance backing that, there'd be support in that, easier access, like remotely, maybe I can, you know what I mean? Like, that's very alluring, right?
It's awful. And then like she expected us to do the billing too. So I remember my client was an accountant, right? So it's like Thanksgiving weekend and I just signed this client and I'm trying to do the billing and I'm like, where's the GST? Like I need to calculate GST. And I said, what, like, why isn't that line there? She's like, oh, it's pre-calculated. I was like, what? Like, you always should say like GST number,
write it out,
blah blah blah. And then the patient's like, oh, your calculation is wrong, it should be so and so. I was like, oh, well, let me just like confirm that with my boss. I'll just be like a few hours. She didn't respond to me for like 3 days. During that time I also didn't get paid. I didn't get paid for my first 2 weeks of pay, and I'm shitting bricks because I have just quit my full-time job. I promised my husband that this would be good, and I had his full support, and I didn't know how to tell him that my boss flaked because he thought she was a flake.
I hate when you're right.
He's like, I don't like her, and I don't like her husband.
I don't either. Sorry. I know I don't know you. I'm sorry.
She's like, he's like, they're shady. I was like, I know, but like, it'll be good, babe. Yeah. And I didn't know how to tell him. I wasn't sleeping. I was fucking vibrating. I was like, how can you shade people like this? So eventually, or it was like one night when I couldn't sleep, I wrote her like this big long message, and I told her how unprofessional she was. And if you expect this company to succeed, you need to be in contact with people right away.
Because at this point, she was not responding to multiple people. Like, what I started saying was I would have an issue with the computer, and then she wouldn't reply for a week. And then I'd be like, hey, hello. And she'd be like, I read your message. I just don't have time to reply. Well, why can't you reply? But, like, you've read my message, and you see that I have an issue working and can't continue.
Or you. Working for you. Remember that support you said? Like... What are you talking about? Like, okay, at least, okay, maybe you're busy. Got your message, looking into it. Or, like, can you please something. Acknowledge. Like, it's so, why are people, like, I'm a mess all the time. So I'll be like, oh, sorry. Like, a couple weeks ago, I had a girl in the UK for an interview. And here on us side of the world, we did fall or spring ahead, right? They have spring ahead 2 weeks after us. Time isn't real. So I'm sitting here waiting for her.
What's
going on? Just a mess. And so I communicated to her. I was like, girl, apparently I went through time change. You didn't. Had no idea that the world is on a different time change. I'm so sorry. I fucked this up. Like, if you have time for me today, great. If not, this is my bad. I'm so sorry. And every time I've made a mistake in anything, usually 95% of the time people are like, it's okay. It's all good. I messed up too. You know what I mean? And it's humiliating, but it's life, right? And
I
like,
don't think so. I
again,
think
grace.
it's empowering because you're being
That's true.
human and
That's true.
authentic. And one
That's
thing
true.
that I need to mention
Yes, of
that
course.
this is like, when you get cheated on or whatever, it feels like the knife is in there and then it gets twisted because you're just like, why did I let that happen? The thing that I said to her often, and I don't know if I said this in front of people, but I said this to her, like we would have one-on-one meetings, because my intuition at the time told me she was a very authentic person. And that is something that I told her, like, as a compliment, where, like, she would say something very supportive sometimes before she stopped replying and before she stopped deflecting and projecting and stuff like that. Sorry, I just forgot what I was saying.
She was very genuine. I've been there.
Oh, yeah.
And then, wow, this person cares
like,
about me. And I've said that. And now you made yourself vulnerable almost by saying that. And you're like,
I poured out to her and I told her, you are one of the most authentic people I've ever met. And that's something that I'm like, because of the way she is, I don't think that'll affect her. But if she had an ounce of humanity in her, that would burn her brain and bother her for the rest of her life, because like, you just deceived these people and this person who thinks you're a good person, and now like you just lie to them. I just don't understand. Yeah.
For what? For money? Like, it wasn't obviously fame, because like, how are you going to come back to Alberta with all these, like maybe that's not the plan. But like, how can you move forward in this industry knowing what you've done? Right. Cause I'm sure it's not over. I guess not, but like, I don't know. I really care about how I affect people. Maybe that's crazy of me. And not like things I do on purpose. Obviously, if I have an opinion and people get offended, that's kind of on them. But, I really don't try to go out there, and it just blows my mind. I think that's where you're at too. You guys are at too. It's like, how could you even just operate? Like, we even told you, we put our full trust in you. It's like, like you said, it's like being cheated on, but just with a friendship. And I don't think people talk about that enough, of friendships that, or like, whether it's friendship or work relationship, that closeness with women where you get stabbed in the back when you've literally given everything. I've been there before in the fitness industry. I gave everything to a certain individual and a company, and I got stabbed in the back very hard, and it hurt, and it jaded me from being friends with anybody or starting a business with anybody for a very long time. And I'm very lucky now that I don't accept that, and I set the boundaries, so I've welcomed better women into my life. But I don't think people talk about that. Like, it feels like you got cheated on, but in a friendship, because you're like, I really trusted you, and this vision, same thing. I wanted to be this great cardio instructor. I'm obviously really energetic, so if I'm yelling at you to squat and jump up, you're going to do it, and so I felt very empowered. And then to be stabbed in the back of that, and then deal with like, oh, this might not be the dream that I had anymore, because you've kind of ruined this for me, which I hope she hasn't done for you guys. But so we've gone through the openings. We're not getting paid. We've not been paid at all.
No, so
not paid
2
back.
weeks I wasn't paid. I'm freaking out. I when somebody does me wrong, I don't let it slide. And I think that's just from like the years of being like the passive one and just like going through COVID and being pushed around and fired and all that stuff. I'm like, no, I'm not going to let this woman destroy me. Exactly. Yeah. And I'm so embarrassed. I don't want to let my family down. And mostly these clients that I signed up for these 3-month coaching programs, they don't know Brian. They don't care who the fuck she is. Yeah. They signed up for me. And what I could bring
specifically asked for Lacey or for someone.
Yeah, they'll specifically ask you. So I couldn't just, because so many people are like, just stop working. I was like, I can't stop working. I have to show up for my people that trusted me, because even if I do move on from this company, it's my face that is being plastered.
Yeah,
not
your reputation.
Hers. She doesn't care. She can just change her company name, which
she's a shell.
We've seen.
Which she did.
Yeah. So I was on her and I said, hey, like, I need to know that I can pay my rent, pay groceries. Like, you not
Huge
telling
asks.
me when I'm going to get paid is like the worst stress ever. So she finally e-transferred me my paycheck. And then it was like the following 2 weeks, we were supposed to get paid again. And that was late. So her excuses were like, oh, it's a glitch in the banking system. Oh. And then after that, it was like, oh, we've changed from Humi to QuickBooks, and now it's a glitch in the QuickBooks. And I'm sorry, with my husband's construction company, I did the books. I worked with QuickBooks.
Takes 2 seconds.
I was like,
Literally takes 2 seconds.
Really, like, QuickBooks is a huge corporation. Yeah. They have a 24/7 IT number. Like, this is bullshit, girls, because we were messaging each other on the Slack messaging system. And so that's when Sophia and I were very vocal and like, hey, Brian, like, we need to get paid. This is bullshit. Mm-hmm. This glitch should have been fixed by now.
Then so you email me from your personal account, like, come on, don't tell me you don't. Like, in my opinion, your employees are number one in having their security being paid. Nothing else fucking matters. Your bank account should bleed before your employees are, in my opinion. So, like, if it's at my work and there's a glitch, which has happened, but we have, like, 1,100 employees across Canada, it can happen. They'll email that money out in 2 seconds. Don't tell me that you can't find a, like, I'm sorry, that's not an acceptable excuse.
And
sorry.
The more vocal we were, the more she would push back.
Yeah.
So it's not like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, no, it was like,
there was no owning of anything.
This is a glitch. This is not my fault. You figure it out, and I will not respond. Every time you email me, that puts your response back even further. So it would take, she would put in there,
she would get mad at us if we messaged more than once a day, when I'm not doing that to spam you. I'm doing that because that's how many issues I'm running into on the job every day.
We don't have a fucking clue. We need help and guidance, and I'm sorry.
Also, Lacey, we haven't even mentioned that she and her husband live away out of the country for 6 months of the year. And that's something that they mentioned to us a million times, and now we know why. It's because it's like an excuse, I think. And they leave
just kidding.
Yeah, they leave every October to April. And while the shit was hitting the fan, when we hadn't been paid, we were seeing clients when, like, everything we've described. And then October, like, I can't remember what day. I think it was the beginning of October 2023. I found out that my boss was in a different country via social media. She did not tell me. She told, I think, some people in Red Deer. She said I'm leaving. She did not mention to everyone.
She had the grand opening, and she was flying out the following week, and we didn't know, and we all looked at each other. We're like,
and we had no plan.
You're not going to be here to help us?
At that point,
if your support was so good to start, and now you're going to be like, who fucking knows a different time zone?
It was not even, in my mind, it was not even an option for her to leave at that point. But too bad, she's gone. And I think that's why she did that. Because
no shit. That's even another excuse.
Say that that's okay for you to leave when we don't have any plan. We don't have, and like every time we told her we don't know what we're doing for this job, I need some more guidance, she would say this is a self-led role, as if like we
should
don't
know.
get training. And she also, I would like to say, she assigned me a client and made me start working with that client before I had finished. There was like you get to a part of the course that's like a quarter of the way through,
like
and you get a certificate. I wasn't even at that point yet. So I wasn't like allowed to be a holistic health coach at that point. It's like,
but she doesn't care
about
any of those things.
She doesn't care about anything.
She doesn't care about having an RN license either.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna say, like, okay, so like, is she like? Because again, like, I don't know her from a hole in the ground, so I'm just speaking off what I hear. But like, where did this come from? Like, what was her background? Was it like nursing, and she was in the same thing as you, and that's what drawn her, or is she like is she a Scientologist, or is she like, where does that come from?
She kind of explained that she was a registered nurse. She wasn't a registered nurse for very long, and I think she worked in long-term care, but I could be wrong. I don't really know where she worked, but her experience was minimal.
Okay.
Basically,
she's pretty young. She's only a couple years older than me.
I think she took the IIN course on a whim. Because she had some weight issues.
Yeah.
And then she just kind of regurgitated all that information and was marketing to people that basically just wanted help with weight loss.
That was her main shtick, I noticed, was like, I don't like that advertisement personally.
No, but these people are really vulnerable, right? And they're like, she's a pretty blonde. Like, that's what I could be if I take her course. Basically, it was like a beach body thing, right?
That's what it feels like. Sorry, but it's like, it's copy and paste, and that's my biggest thing. I don't mean to shade the structure, but this is the same predatory behavior where it's like, there's this dream work from home, work on your own hours, make all this money, be able to be in control. We'll take care of the marketing. We'll take care of the background. All you got to do is post and promote and do your thing. And then you get into it and it's like, okay, maybe, but it's like all copy and paste. And client retention is not going to be on copy and paste because we're all so different and we're learning more and more as we grow how different we actually are. So one protocol for one person isn't going to be good for another.
No.
That's why I can't handle these, like, and I'm not saying what you guys did was weekend courses. You obviously have more than that, but like being someone that's not formally educated more for anything science, I find it scary that you could just sign up for a weekend course and be like a holistic coach and you're just like, what are you saying? There's so much more than to all of this. So with me, it's like I feel like it wasn't coming from a place of passion, maybe like where I've dedicated my whole life to, like you guys, like if you guys started something like this, it's like I've been working years and I seen this and I wanted to change this. I feel like she stumbled across like almost like a digital creator course of how to make money online by selling courses and ebooks and structuring this. And she just thought, oh, fuck, this is a good place. I'm going to do this, especially during a time where so many people are questioning Western medicine, the current systems in place. I feel like she looked at it more of an opportunity of a business, not I'm going to be here to help all these women and empower these women to help other women. Like, that's what I feel from her. Is that kind of like fair to say from your experience?
100%. Like during our coaching calls prior to the grand opening, she was always like, we are women uplifting women. And I was like, okay, great. And then it comes time for Sophia and I to have questions or lack of pay. And it's like, how dare you question me?
Yeah. Oh, there was a meeting.
Isn't this like an oxymoron?
There was a meeting where there was so much shit hitting the fan that she was like, okay, everyone, I'm going to make a Google Doc. Everybody add your questions in there so I can answer it in a meeting. We put, I think, probably like 60 questions in there. I was laughing because I was like, I thought I was the only one feeling this. And I looked and like, I remember checking like 2 days later and seeing like, oh my God, like they were good questions. Things that I had no idea that if I were to start a business, I should be worried about. And she had no idea. And so seeing that list was worrying. And then going into the meeting, this was the first meeting that we were literally silenced. We were not allowed to say anything. I'm pretty sure our cameras were also off. I can't remember.
They were on, but they were muted.
Silent, no option to turn them on. Our text box was supposed to work, but I don't think it worked.
No.
So like coming from COVID, and we're all traumatized from COVID. 100%. And I remember like the most vocal of us before, during, and after that meeting. Like I'm pretty sure I was texting Lacey during that meeting being like, what the fuck is happening?
This is bullshit. It's like, where's the popcorn?
Yeah.
Like she picked and chose which questions she wanted to address.
Yeah.
Because at this time we hadn't been paid in over a month. We were seeing people, but
nothing was coming in.
Nothing was generating.
Again, we're doing a free meeting for her, and she's like in the meeting she's telling us about what like everything we're doing wrong. And it's just like, I'm showing up for free for you for 2 months. What?
Just be berated? Shut the fuck up. Like what? I'm sorry, I'll just live inside my head and torture myself. Thanks.
So the rage built over the time a lot.
Girl, do you guys do boxing? Because I started boxing in September and
That's
summertime to get, dude, it is so, if you have anybody in the area, one of my girlfriends is my coach, and now I got all my other girlfriends, and every Thursday near the end of the week we go boxing, and it's not contact. Do not touch me, I'll cry. But it's very cathartic, just like slamming your hand into the bag and getting it out. Because like now that I think I'm not a violent person, but this person is making me feel like this is why I box, so I can punch people like this in the face. Just kidding. But it's not even that. It's just the I have printed pictures for people and put them on the bag. Like I'm not. If I would be a liar if I said I didn't print Justin Trudeau and put him on my bag a few times. It is. It's really good. I got to punch him in the face. It felt good. But what I really hate is the gaslighting when you're coming with concerns, right? I think that's my biggest thing. Like you can maybe bite off more than you can chew. I'd be the same way, Sophia. I'd be like, hey, I don't know how to start a business, so I'm going to be like an error that I don't really know, and I assume that you're taking on that piece or you're looking into it. But again, I think she just literally feel like she took one of those MRR, I think it's called master resale rights programs, where you essentially can buy a course program and all the literature, kind of like an MLM. You switch it, you call it something else, and then you can resell the rights to that program of how to become a content creator, how to do this, how to do that in your niche. So I feel like she got a hold of that and she had the nursing side of it, and she tried to develop it into this resell where it's like, hey, I've got this blueprint, go take it and do it. That's what you need to do. That's all you get. And that's what it feels like she kind of did there. Like without having any understanding of this is where my other argument with MLMs, you're not a true business because you would know business licenses, GST numbers. Like, did she even set you guys up to have like your taxes taken off proper? I mean, she didn't fucking pay you, so probably not. But you know what I mean? Like, there's so much more insurance for just you guys being in the buildings. Like,
she didn't have any of that. She didn't have a business permit for the cities. She didn't have any. She didn't have a GST number, and you should if you're generating over $30,000 in revenue.
Herself unraveled most of this information. I'm pretty sure you found out the IIN kickback shit too.
Yeah, and then I was just like, she was.
Don't piss Lacey off. It's a good rule of thumb. I won't. I promise.
She just kept like pushing the RN thing, like we are registered nurses, and she was using that to gain trust from the public. Yes,
at a time where it was already struggling.
We are registered nurses, yes, but some of us don't have the holistic education to back it. And my spidey senses were tingling. So I don't know if your public knows this, but you can always look up your nurse. You can see if they're registered in their province. So I went on the Canadian Alberta Association of Registered Nurses, the CRNA, and I looked up her name and I couldn't find anything. So then I was like, what is her other name? Like, does she have another name? Nothing. So I reached out and I messaged the CRNA and I said, hi. I kind of explained her situation and I got a phone call back. And they said, no, she does not have a license right now. We will investigate it. So she was telling the public that she was a registered nurse when you're not. That is illegal. But guess what? Nothing happened.
Of course not. Why would it?
No, she said that she forgot to renew. So our renewal was up in September, I believe. So November 1st or October 1st, you had to be renewed for the year. And this was December, and they just let her renew. But now she's given up her license. But that's probably because I complained twice.
I mean, yeah, that is...
So when she wasn't paying us for, it was December, I said, give me an employment, a record of employment so I can file for employment insurance. Like, I have nothing here. You haven't paid me since October. Like, that's 2 fucking months, lady.
Like, how am I gonna pay my bills?
She drugged her
and going
feet.
into Christmas season too.
That
not
was
Christmas
huge.
season, but like the holiday season.
Yeah,
like
that
that's
was
not a
the
time.
hardest winter.
Yeah,
because we were supposed to sit in limbo because by now we're locked out of our buildings because she hasn't paid the rent.
The landlords were locking us out because she didn't pay. Yeah.
And then you guys have to face that front on because she's not there. So that's fun for our mental health.
Yeah.
Now we're supposed to just like see our clients online. And I'm sorry, like now I'm really mad. And how am I supposed to like show my best self when I can't even stand behind this company anymore? So she basically told us that her bank account was frozen. She never said that I didn't have money, just my bank account is frozen. There's nothing I can do for you guys because I'm in South America or wherever the fuck she was. And that ATV is the bad guy. So until I can get this figured out, until I can get this figured out, ladies, you're going to go on pause. Work is paused. And
whatever that means.
If you still have clients, you should still see them. But if you don't, then your work is paused. You can't bill any more hours. And hopefully in January, we can get this figured out. That was what the direction we got. So then...
Suck a dick.
Me and a couple girls from Red Deer hired an employment lawyer. We got on the phone with this lawyer, and she wasn't fantastic, but she gave us one piece of advice. She says, file an employment standards complaint. So from there, we had to contact employment standards and each fill out like a big long paperwork, calculate how much money she owes us. So she owes me about like $8,000-9,000, not including the IIN course. And we had to file it, but it would take 20 weeks before they would get back to us. So 20 weeks, that's half a year. What am I supposed to do?
Bills to pay. What the fuck? I mean, you know that. Sorry, you know that.
So, fast forward another week, and she's like, okay, don't see your clients anymore. I'm going to reach out to them and say that everything's on pause for Christmas time. So, yeah, forward Christmas, she wanted to have a one-to-one meeting with us, and most of us refused. I didn't. I wanted to look her in the fucking eye and tell her she was a bitch.
100%.
Of course I didn't use those words.
No, but in your own way.
I basically just stared at her, gave her the dirty look, and just listened to her fucking ramble about shit that was just another lie. Just that this is out of her control. Hopefully the money will come and that we can just resume.
And there were so many repetitive things of like, don't worry, like, there was no encouragement. There was no light at the end of the tunnel, and like her words were just meaningless. And yeah, so I think Lacey might have been like one of 3 that had a meeting with her at that point. I couldn't, because I would have like I don't know.
Glued.
Yeah, I would have exploded. Like,
yeah,
I think. Well, actually, I did have a meeting where I called Lacey afterwards and cried, because there was a one-on-one meeting that I had that turned into a 3-on-1.
3-in-1.
That was, she told me at the beginning of the meeting, I'm going to talk and then you'll have your chance to talk. That didn't happen. I wasn't allowed to talk. She berated me for the reason was, while like it was like the first 2 to 4 weeks of us not getting paid and being confused, and we used this stupid Slack app, and I didn't know if she could see when I messaged my coworkers in there, so
you never know.
Somebody else encouraged me and was like, should we start a group chat? And I was like, fuck it, I'll do it. I messaged everyone, and she has like a mutual friend that was one of the people that got hired, or like they're related or something. I can't even remember. But I knew that person might tattle on me or whatever. I didn't care.
Yeah.
They did. They shared the information with her, and then I got berated and like yelled at in that meeting for what? For communicating with my peers about like, I was concerned that I couldn't pay for my fucking rent. Like, what about these people who have kids? Like, I was like one of the only people who didn't have kids in this
situation.
Yeah, and like Lacey and I think were the 2 that lost the most amount of money because we were full time. But like, I was looking at the people with kids like, oh my God, I feel bad because like,
right before Christmas.
Exactly.
Like the one time a year that most of us are like, fuck it, YOLO.
Yeah.
And so you should. But right now you're like, can I pay rent? Which is not where you should be, especially after like what it sounded like a torturous 9 months leading up to it too, right? So I imagine your fucking nervous system was just on the fritz, and like, and like you said, yeah, she was just continually lying, but at the same time, not even giving you false promises that it was actually going to get better. It was just like, it'll work its way out. Like, where's
never
money
her
coming
fault.
from?
Yeah. And then she had an office admin that would always back her up and never
also a previous friend that she knew before that she hired later on. That was weird.
We were just getting just more and more lies on top. And then one of her top nurses that she had hired before us 20 was basically going to be our go-to person now, because Brianne, her nervous system was shot and she just needed to focus on bringing clientele in. So all questions should be directed at Taylor, and then poor Taylor just like was like, I don't know what the fuck is going on either.
Probably burnt the hell out, like,
because she also wasn't getting paid.
As I say, she probably wasn't getting paid for the extra support she was supposed to provide too.
I just want to mention,
thought that she was getting paid, but
that Taylor just got married in October. Like, she had her own life going on.
Oh my God!
And then literally 2 months later, oh, you're the boss. Have fun, like, and.
With massive amount of problems. It's not just like, oh, everything's going good, I'm going to take off. Like, I helped open up Grand Prairie's first cannabis retail store. Opening that was insane. Like, insane. All the little things. And we didn't have much, especially at the beginning with cannabis. You couldn't show anything. So, like, we had very basic shit. And I remember scrambling to get that all together. And it took I was only there for 6 months before I left, but it took up until then for us to feel confident to not have the boss there every single day. It's like, why would you even want to take off when your dream your dream of starting this clinic across the province to help all these women. It's your dream. Why wouldn't you want to even be there? I think that's my biggest red flag, is being like, if I'm opening, like, I'm doing a thing on the side with my girlfriends, you know, and if that comes to fruition one day, like, I'm gonna be there every second of every day because that's my dream coming true. Why would you take off?
Yeah.
Not even just the bad things. Like, why wouldn't you want to be there to see your baby go off the ground, be there to support? Like, it just shows to me this wasn't something that was like, this is a dream. I want to help women for the rest of, you know, it was like, this is a money opportunity. And then when it looked like it wasn't, she was like, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to evade and I'm just going to push this on everyone and hope that by being away, it'll just disappear. Because like time heals all.
Like, she just kind of thought that, well, she told us, she's like, I can do all this remotely. Like, I don't have to be by your side. I can run this remotely. That's not an issue.
Sure.
Meanwhile, nobody in Canada had signing authority to go to the bank and even write us a check, if that's actually what happened.
Well,
but
yeah,
that
let's just be real
the solution here. But yeah, even then there was probably 11,000 other problems if we had solved that.
And I'm sorry, I'm just not accepting the bank account freeze, because the only people that really have the ability, from my knowledge, to seize your bank account is the government or the CRA, or like, right? So it's like, because we've seen that with the truckers, so they can do it. But like, that's a pretty extreme. I don't think she was in the trucker convoy. So why would they freeze your bank? Like,
she said that it was because she moved from Hume payroll system to QuickBooks payroll system, that it set up a red flag.
I'm sorry. Nope. I'm accounts receivable. I've been doing AR my very long life. Absolutely not. Absolutely
I know
not.
this. Sophia's like, okay, no, that's bullshit.
But if you don't know, you don't know.
You have, 15 other girls that are trusting every word that she says. So every time I tried to be vocal, I tried to go on Facebook and just kind of post my story anonymously, because these girls didn't want me to, like, raise the roof.
Because we were also worried about being like sued or something. Like, we just like, even though we didn't do anything wrong, we're like in a tricky situation.
Oh yeah, so and nowadays people just try and throw cease and desists and defamation lawsuits, and it's like, if it's true, it's not defamation.
That's what I would say.
So I'm looking for a lawyer, somebody to help guide us, but I'm sorry, we can't afford the lawyer fees.
I can't even afford my rent. Like,
rent? What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah.
So it's just, it sucks.
That's so fair. Okay, so now we're in, obviously I found this in December. I had a break through my seasons. We got you back here. So it's been a couple months since I read the post. So at that time in December, you guys had not been paid. Does it sound like it? And it sounds like maybe you reached out, was it Alberta Health, to see if they could support you? Like, what did you try? Is there any avenues you could try and reach out to for support in the small business area?
We also reached out to, well, maybe not everyone, but we were told that reaching out to the CRA could help, because I haven't been able to file my taxes because she's been lying on them. And my T4 hours and what's the other thing? The other thing you get when you end a job, Lacey.
Record of employment.
Those hours were wrong and not the number that I had recorded. Like, they were both wrong, both different. She was claiming more than what I had gotten paid. And the record of employment, like, after, like, we'll get to this, but after we got fired, I had to ask for that, and it took her weeks to give it to me, and it wasn't
supposed to have it in 7 days. I'm pretty sure
it wasn't accurate still. Yeah, so like
everything was handwritten too. It's not filed electronically, because she says she doesn't have access to that.
And we had
another red flag.
We had to wait for a bunch of things to come in the mail too, instead of being sent electronically for some weird reason.
It's your business. Call and get access. Like, it's called being an adult. One time I lost my information in CRA and I had to go on the phone for like 2 hours. Like, you do the things that you got to do, again, to set your employees up. That is so wild. Okay, so December, so she's gone. She's not paying. You made this post December when I seen it. Right?
A year later.
It was a year later. Oh, sorry. Yeah. That's right. That's right. Okay, so a year later, so December, you guys weren't being paid. You've confronted her in Slack. There's a bunch of drama going on with other nurses, and then you got fired.
So we got a call. Did you get the call back, Sophia?
Yeah, so a bunch of us got a call back, and then some people said yes or no. I think you and I both, and maybe 2 other people said yes, I'll come back. I'm just trying to remember.
We were just trying to play the game, though.
Yeah,
because at this point, we're just trying to play her game so that we follow all the rules so that employment standards will give us our money.
We were literally following lawyers' advice at this point because we were like, what do we do to make sure we don't get screwed over?
Yeah, so we're like, we want you to crash and burn, but we want to get paid. So
100%. I would be too. Like, that's the best revenge. It's like, I'm just saying, you know, like, you think I'm not doing anything? Oh, I'm doing something.
So she sent us an email. It was like in April or March or something. And it's like, you have 7 days to let me know if you're going to come back to the office. Your recall date is like April 17th. I'm just throwing out a number. April 17th. And you have to be in person at the Red Deer office. I was like, okay, well, number one, I know that we don't have keys to that location.
We're going to hang out in the parking lot. Or...
She didn't know that we don't really knew we were locked out.
Yeah. Number two, I don't think we have any clientele. So what's my workday going to look like? And so I emailed her back, of course, and I said, okay, I'm working remotely that day. And I want to know what my day is going to look like. Mm-hmm. And she never got back to me until a week later. Because that night before, when I was supposed to go back to the Red Deer office, I emailed her again. I was like, hey, Brianne, like, I haven't heard from you, and I'm supposed to be presenting to the Red Deer office. Is there keys? What's going on? Crickets. And then it was like 2 days later, and she's like, oh, yes. To confirm, Lacey, there was no work for that day, but because you didn't show up, you were automatically terminated as per employment standards. Like, she tries to use all the words. Just every loophole she could find.
Oh, man, you know, parts of me want to be a YouTuber that deep dives into people. And like, if I had to pick one, I think this individual might be one of those people, because you know,
might have fun interviewing her.
No, I don't mean I want to talk to her. I just mean like, how did you get here? Like, how did you get to this point? Like, you know, like I said, like a Davis Miscavige, how did you become the leader of Scientology? Like, where do you get yourself? Like, you know, because like, where do these ideals that you can just mess with people this way, that you can be so bombastic in your lies, and so like with your full chest you're saying this, and by employee standards, you haven't paid me, bitch. What are you talking about? Standard that went out the fucking window. No,
she had no intention of paying us, no intention of like making us come back to work, because we went from full-time hours to this new contract of 1 to 10 hours a week that we needed to sign, but we weren't allowed to have any other work. Because like, how am I supposed to show up with a week's notice when I already have a job? Like, I can't just not show up.
There was a bunch of other really sketchy things that she added onto this new contract, and she said it was required for us to sign this new contract in order to come back to work. That's false. Like, she was lying about everything. So the people that knew, I can't remember the specifics of that contract, but like, we would get screwed. I think she took off like the tuition, stuff like that. Like, she wasn't going to be paying us back for the tuition anymore. I can't remember what else, but and like Lacey and I think a couple others refused to sign it. But what I just wanted to specify the difference. So like, that's the way Lacey got fired. For me, part of my contract, and like Lacey mentioned, we were allowed to work remote. Throughout all of this, before the shit hit the fan, I told her I'm moving to Vancouver Island. I'm going to work there remotely. And I was already traveling, like, and had meetings there, like, in Victoria, while we were doing things. So, like, this wasn't new. So when she sent me that recall to work, she told me, you have to be at the Edmonton office for this time, like the same as Lacey's. And I said, I can't be. I was sick at the time. I was actually bedridden at the time. I was living in mold. And I told her I can't be there because I live in a different province, like, as you should know.
Well, you know.
And but I can attend via Zoom or whatever. And again, I'm pretty sure, I think she didn't reply. Yeah, she didn't reply. And then the next morning, she told me, I'm sorry, trauma is blocking things. She told me that I needed a doctor's note, which is not true. It actually is supposed to say in our contract that you need a doctor's note to excuse yourself from whatever, is what I learned. And so I wasn't able to give her one because I was literally at home sick, and it was less than 24 hours notice that she told me I needed to give it for that morning. And so I wasn't able to provide it. I was sick at home, and then she fired me that morning.
I thought you had unlimited sick days.
Yeah,
I thought too.
so did we.
I mean,
So I guess
not
that
to,
was
not
a
to go
lie.
back to the beginning,
Like,
but like, so on condition that you get a doctor's note within 24 hours, which if she came from the medical industry, she would know how difficult that is, especially on Vancouver Island, to just get into a general practitioner to
yeah.
have something like that. Like that's
I don't
not
have a
impossible.
doctor. I
If
haven't
you
had
even
one
fucking have one.
in more than
Exactly. So
2-3 years, and the last time I had one, they almost killed me. So no, like
100%. So
I
it's
just,
like no, and knowing that, that's where it kind of bugs me the most too, is because like, okay, all those things aside, like medically, you were starting this on the basis of doing something from the medical industry, but here you're like living that. You know what I mean? Like you're putting all these like structures in and these systems in to make people be sicker. Like you're doing exactly what you said you're trying to break away from.
Mm-hmm.
Girl needs to be
Yeah.
evaluated.
So she continues to market her business while we are all under. There's a few girls that kind of hung on and worked for free and tried to support her and create content. So it was like that summer I was kind of working on my own. I had opened up my own practice in Lacombe and I was doing my own thing. And I had a few people reach out to me on Facebook and they're just like, hey, I see that you used to work for the Holistic RN. I bought these tests. So I bought some Dutch tests and a food intolerance test, and I can't get a hold of her. How
Those aren't cheap.
Can you help me? I was like,
some people were like
I'm so sorry.
$1,000 or $1,000 or $2,000 they had spent on like multiple tests.
Yeah, and she gave them the test, but she wouldn't give them the results.
Which probably she gets charged for from the lab. So she's probably just taking the money for, because I've done a Dutch test with my naturopath, and like it wasn't crazy expensive, but it wasn't cheap either. It wasn't paid for. So, but I know I had to send it to a third party. So if she's not sending it to the third party and they're not processing it, then she's probably maybe just allegedly taking the money and not getting the results.
She hasn't paid for the results to be delivered to the client. So it was like this client was telling me that she had, a meeting set up for her results and then it was canceled, or she got into a car accident, or I was like, I'm sorry that you are experiencing this. You can try contacting the company on its own. Mm-hmm. And then I said, or you can contact this kind of like a fraud protection within Canada, and you can report this small business.
Yeah. That's a great idea.
So eventually she did get her results. I had followed up with this client. But yeah, there was a few of these people. So I knew that she wasn't delivering on what she was promising. So she was just taking people's money.
And not to be this way, but people that are taking like Dutch tests and looking for the alternative have most likely been burned by the Western medicine system. So it just really, that's where it really sucks when it comes to this side. Not saying it's like absolved of it, but that's where it bothers me the most, because you already know that there was some hurt and distrust and pain for them, because it's not normal. Not saying that, but like I was never raised that way. I was raised for Western medicine, and coming to now, I know. So when people are coming to that side, they're usually probably jaded from a doctor and experience, and it's really shitty that they go on that side, and then that's what they're served as well, because that's not generally, for the 99% part, what you guys are about. You're the complete opposite of that. So it's like, girl, get out, do something else. Sell burgers. Get away,
because
they were selling food before in a food truck.
Go back to that. Like that's gonna give people happiness, and it keeps you away from hurting people. Like,
but like she had made like a name for herself, and then she wrecked the reputation of holistic healing. Yeah, basically.
No shit.
Because we had clients that had paid for programs and never got their delivery because, we weren't getting paid. Some girls basically said, fuck this.
Unfair.
And walked away.
Mm-hmm. Like fair. Because then you keep doing it. How more are you going to burn yourself? How deep are you going to get into this, right? Because at first you're just like, I don't want to be associated. At first you're probably like, it's not a big deal. But then after you're like, wow, I really don't want to be associated with this person or this company or this, and now I'm almost in a mission to show that this is not what this industry is about.
Yeah.
It's just when bad people get in.
There was a few months of hesitancy, kind of like I described. Like we were a little bit afraid to talk about things for the like legal aspect of it. But Lacey, like that post that I shared, I actually shared it because I, for the first time, felt safe enough to share it if somebody else shared it. So I was like, thank God Lacey can like write these things and like because I just trauma blocked everything. I couldn't remember anything. So once I shared that, I think I added a little caption of like my thoughts or whatever, and like I shared it onto my Instagram, and that's like the most engagement I got in the longest like amount of time.
Oh, like, that's how I came to you guys, because I've been just floating in the background. I was like, I love her vibe, I like her content that she's putting out, but I had no idea that this was going on. And I was like, December, locked in the house, man's gone in camp, I'm a little nosy, I'm gonna go see, like, this looks intense, what's this? And I was like, oh, because I didn't know. Like, now going to the small business part, and what I want to talk about too is like, I've had small businesses. I didn't realize, you could just absolve it. And then what? What do you go after? Right? Like, not to think this way, but I think about like James Charles and all those makeup people that tried to get money from Morphe, like, and never got paid. And then they just like dissolved their whole entire branding and now reopened as something else with new owners and are paying those influencers. But they have money. They don't need it. But still, they did the work. But this happens on like smaller levels too, right? Like, if you're going to go sue somebody and then they dissolve their business, who the fuck are you suing?
Yeah, so if you're incorporated, that basically, number one, protects you. And with this woman, she's a gypsy. She has no assets. She sold everything on Facebook Marketplace like a few years before she started this Holistic RN, because they are nomads. They gave up their Canadian citizenship.
Yeah, they're non-citizens of Canada.
So that they don't have to pay taxes. They go overseas and they live off his pension, and his pension is probably in a different bank overseas so that they could never garnish it. Mm-hmm. How are you supposed to get money from a stone? You can't.
And this is where I want, like, again, not that you could ever know these things, but I think for me, it's like, I had no idea. Like, logically, it makes sense when I say it out loud, but it's not something that I would ever think of when I have, like, as I said, I've been a subcontractor. I've been in these positions where I'm putting into someone else's business, and it's like, it's devastating when you put all your heart and soul in it and you literally get nothing or shit on after. You're like, oh, okay. But I would think like that was a mental thing for me and like a spiritual thing. I didn't lose money in it, but like, if I would have put all that time and effort into that and then not got my money back for that, like what else are you supposed to do? So is there any avenue for you guys currently? Like, when she becomes a citizen again, could you sue her, or like, do you know of any other avenue?
Not that I know of.
Have no idea. Employment standards is not easy to talk to, and we don't get any updates. So basically, they said that they've moved it to the King's Court bench. Okay. Honestly, I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
It's just like they're going to keep trying to pursue money until it's unfeasible, is what they said. So I'm hoping eventually the government catches up with her, because she issued me a T4 for last year, because she eventually trickled in like $2,000 in little payments to me. She still owes me a substantial amount of money, but so I had to file for that, and then I kept looking on my Service Canada account, and it was never submitted to the government. So I'm hoping that's a flag that I've submitted a T4 to a company that doesn't really exist. And then I found out that one of the other regular girls, her source deductions was never filed to the government. So I'm hoping,
the CRA tax ways
the CRA will eventually catch up with her. Like, I don't know if I'll ever get the like it's a lot of money that she owes me, and I do want the full course back.
100%.
Yeah.
I didn't need that thing.
Neither. No. Lacey and I especially did not learn anything from that course. I think there are some girls like who are on a different education level of us, like, and that's fine, and they may have learned something from that, but we did not, and it was not worth it. And Lacey even said, I remember, Lacey was like the top of the pack, because we knew, like, Lacey was like, she had already tried this before. She had a little bit of experience, and I remember her asking, do I really have to pay for this course? Like, it's a lot of money, and I have the knowledge, and like, do I have to? Yes, you have to for the job. And I thought that was a ridiculous answer at the time, and it wasn't a red flag, it was an orange flag at the time. Like, there was so many orange flags, and like, even the ladies, like, I was going through some like abusive relationship shit at the time, so my nervous system already didn't know what was happening. Like, it was like July, something fucked up happened to me, and then and then the grand openings that didn't go well were the following month in August, and everything fell apart. Like, so I used to be intuitive, or like a few months before that I was intuitive, but it just like completely fell apart. And that's why I was looking at people like Lacey and everyone else like, this is not how a business works. Okay. So
No,
Well,
it
too,
wasn't
again, you don't
smooth.
want to just assume that people are bad, especially with someone that had a
exactly.
vision that was a dream come true for you guys, right? That was going to help do all the shit that you didn't want to do.
Yeah.
But it's like, again, these people sell these fucking dreams,
Yeah.
and they take people at the moment where it's, I don't want to say vulnerable, because that's not, we're all vulnerable, but just someone looking for a purpose, like in the pivotal moments, maybe in a big change, right? That want to do something. And then they're just like, great, that's a great dream. But like, I don't even know how you,
Yeah. The
because it's like it's
execution
orange
was not
flags,
there.
and until you know the person, you don't know that that's a red flag. Yeah, absolutely. And it's just like, you think this person is there to do good things, and then you can forgive, and then it's like, what point? So is there any, I think we talked about it, but going back, is there any like red flags that you're like, that was a moment that like everything changed for me, for people to look out for? Like, was there one specific one where you're just like, if I went back, this is the moment that I maybe should have not that you could have done anything, but you know what I mean? Like, is there one red flag?
I think like her being so nonchalant about trying to get the location set up.
Mhm.
Like she never discussed like this was the clinic location or whatever. It was like, oh, I have lots of time. I should have asked her business plan. Is that's my biggest regret before signing up. Like, show me your business plan.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to be rude.
Of course. And then too, I'm always like, well, this person's probably smarter than me, and I'm probably missing something, you know,
Right.
like going into
Like-
good faith.
Like,
Yeah.
number one, don't go off people's followers. Number two, don't really go off the presentation of their website either, because Squarespace does a great job.
Canva, they do everything for you.
Yeah.
True.
They really do.
It's
And
very
like,
easy.
you know,
It's
if you're
very-
seeing her or your coach's content is pretty similar to everybody else's, or it's very basic,
Mhm.
move on. You want somebody that's engaging. Watch their videos on Instagram. See how they talk.
Mhm.
Brianne talks herself up to sound very educated, and she uses these big words and talks in sentences or in circles. Sorry. I'm
She
Word
sorry.
talks
salad.
in sentences.
I don't talk sentences, I talk phrases. Yeah, no, like she
Word salads for sure.
It's
Like, you're
very-
saying so much, but there's no
very-
substance to it,
there-
which is a
Yeah.
salesman. It's a so that's what I
Exactly.
mean. Like, to me, to your point, it sounds like she got sold a copy and paste course. She took some of her knowledge to try and put it into there, and then she's trying to sell that to everybody else because she didn't care about the physical location.
I see everyone is obsessed with making courses on Instagram, and like, even if it wasn't she took a course on it, I think like that's the idea that everybody thinks is their own idea right now. And
yeah.
something that one of the ladies said was, it's all hopes and dreams and no education. And it's like, cool, it's great, you can have somebody as a boss who does the vision board, the planning, but you need someone underneath to do the list taking, the diligence, the following through. And that's what was missing, I think. And it's unfortunate that I don't judge people for not being perfect and for not being able to do she was doing 5 jobs. I could recognize that multiple people were offering help, and like that's why we were doing the marketing, because like we wanted this to succeed. But she couldn't ask for help. She couldn't even when I offered, she basically like deflected and felt like she was angry at me for offering to help.
Like, how dare you even question that she can't keep it all together when by her actions in the environment she can't keep it together.
But
and you're like, okay, I'm just trying to help, girl. Like, this isn't a shade to you. No one should have to do all of that.
You're
but
doing 5
in your
jobs.
mind,
Like, I'm trying to help.
You're probably thinking like, she's got her husband, she's got some people in the support in the back. Maybe there's just a piece of this that I'm missing and she doesn't need my help. I'm, as an adult, going to think that people are going to tell me when they need me, especially if they're my employer. If my boss needs me for something, I expect him to Teams me and tell me what he needs. How the fuck out? You know what I mean? Like, were you guys just supposed to guess? And like you said, to your point, Lacey, like, you shouldn't have had to ask her a comprehensive business plan, because your job was to show up and do the work.
Yeah.
That's what she told you. So why would you? Like, now I know you probably will. And you're probably like, give me a 10. I want a PowerPoint presentation. Let's sit down. And like, now would you say that's your advice for sure? Is like, because you had a contract, right? So I think people think you sign a contract, it's gravy, it's all good, but it's not actually, right? Is that fair?
Yeah, the contract basically is not helping us because she was supposed to pay us, as per 40 hours a week. We haven't gotten paid. It said in our contract that we weren't allowed to work for another alternative health company, and
Like for
we couldn't take our
competition reasons, I
clientele
think.
with us. Yeah, so then
Non-compete.
I was really scared at first to open up my own business because I basically had everything. I just needed to like go and do it on my own just to prove to myself that I tried. I tried on my own terms, and if this failed, it was because of me. And so I basically just asked my mom, who has a friend who's a lawyer, and he's like, no, she cannot impede you from making a living.
No, non-competes are kind of bullshit in those senses.
Yeah.
It's like no judge is going to be like, no, you can't make money for your home. Starve. Like, and I'm in the position too now, right? Like, I've been a cardio instructor for 12 years, and same thing. Like, some people that I've done training under believe that, because I signed a non-compete 10 years ago, that I can't go do that now. It's like, I don't know many judges that are going to be like, no, you have this talent, but because you did this 10 years ago, you signed a non-compete 10 years ago, you don't get to make money. Like, what are you talking about? And it's just like, if you're so good, you shouldn't have to worry about competition. Competition is healthy. It's what keeps you within integrity within your own company and makes you continually push to be a better company. So I find that when people do that, to me, it's a big red flag too. It's like forcing that non-compete. It's like one thing to sign it, a year or two, but to like really push that, you have a non-compete. Don't you dare go anywhere else. It's like, okay. So most people have to have 2 jobs right now. Sorry.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Some of us had 3 and 4 jobs, I'm pretty sure, immediately after this happened. And it was like, that was like, this whole time was garbage, but that was the most garbage, was like a week before Christmas, people were like working double, triple shifts because of this. And I was like, it just like, I can't even, I'm just trying not to cry because that's how hard it was. And like, she doesn't get that. She doesn't get that at all. And like, that's the hardest part.
It was always our fault. Like, she never said, I'm sorry.
No.
Narcissists don't usually.
That's like the thing that really hit. It would be like one thing to say, I'm sorry, guys, I fucked up. I failed.
Yeah.
Let me get a cash advance and try and help you guys
Payment
out.
plan, something.
She never took accountability.
No.
And then too, like, I'm not trying to be this way, but to like the current post, it's just like so dismissive. So like, oh, this is what I've learned in the last couple months. It's like, okay, but have you though? Because you haven't faced what, like, you, as far as I know, she hasn't said sorry, right? You just said she didn't say sorry. She's not trying to, even if it was like, I can only pay you $20 a month, at least it'd be something, right? No, like, nothing. But to nothing, not even words.
Yeah, there was also the last thing I ever heard from her after Lacey mentioned there was a couple payments that went through. This was, I think, spring of last year, April maybe. I don't know if everybody got this message or just a few of us, but she sent me an email saying, you will receive this amount of what's still left owing to you, which was incorrect. She told me this amount of $1,000 is still owed to you. No, she still owed me like $16,000. Like, no, including the course. And she said, you will receive this check in the mail. And I knew it wasn't going to be in the mail, and it never came, and nobody ever got it. And that's the last I've ever heard from her.
That was one of the number of excuses. I was going to say, I'm sorry, when someone tells you their check is in the mail, it is not. How do I know that? Because I used to mail those checks that bosses never signed, and I had to aggressive be, and we were for a good company. So like, that to me is like, as soon as I hear that, I'm like, that's a lie. They're trying to stall for something. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, after all of this time, because obviously you guys have moved on, as best as you can, because you have to have a life. You can't sit in this, right? You got to move forward. Where are we feeling now? Like, obviously we want to still try and fight for the money, but like, are you guys feeling jaded? You're still really into the industry of healing. Like, let's end it with a little bit, maybe more of a positive of like, where are you guys now and how are you feeling about moving forward with your current like missions, let's say, helping people?
Well, I tried. I just, I'm not I'm not good at business.
Yeah, I feel that.
Per se. I did try and run my own business as a holistic healing clinic. I want to say I did well. Mm-hmm. My biggest downfall is that I was still burnt from
Yeah.
Brian, like mentally.
That
I
was
was
very
just
traumatizing, like starting
I
from
was
that
just
place.
like
Totally.
completely exhausted.
Yeah.
And then trying to fix other people's problems and doing the best I can, but people expected me to be a doctor. I'm not a doctor. I'm sorry. It was just really hard, but I also got burnt by another nurse in my venture.
Yeah.
I had started vitamin infusions, and I had joined partnership with another company that promised me hopes and dreams, kind of similar to Brian. I had called the girls and I'm like, this is Brian 2.0. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, she also stole money from me. And I think I just got to the point where, why am I doing this? I lost who I was. I didn't have fun anymore. My husband says I was just a shell. So I did have to just walk away from it. Like, I did help some wonderful people.
Of course.
But I just had to walk away from it. And now I work for a large corporation.
Nice.
I get paid every 2 weeks. I don't have to ask for it.
Wow.
That's weird. Just kidding.
No.
And when you ask
It's-
for it, you
it's
don't have to wait
amazing.
4 days for a response.
No.
And an angry
No,
one at
it's
that.
like,
yeah. My
it's
bag's
like right
frozen.
there.
It's
But
crazy.
this
Days, sick days,
corporation,
actual sick days.
yeah,
Crazy.
6 days. Even I work remote and I don't feel good to log on the computer. It's not a big deal. But this
Crazy.
corporation really liked that I did my own holistic health company,
even
that
cooler.
I coached people.
Yeah.
So I get to use those elements as a registered nurse.
Totally.
And I don't have to like fight for my license or anything. Like, it's all legit. It's
Yeah.
perfect.
And sorry, I just have to hone in on that too, because as much as entrepreneurship is dope, and I think it's so cool that people can have an idea and they run with it and they build their businesses and they live and breathe it. But I really hate when they shit on working for corporations and in structure, because I've had both. I've worked in corporation my whole life. I've been in the oil field. I've been in dentistry. I've been admin everywhere. Now landing like the last 6 years in cannabis, which is obviously a teenage dream come true. But at the end of the day, like I've always, where was I going with this? Nope. Oh, yes. So people have always hated on corporations and like how it's been awful. And I've had bad bosses. Don't get me wrong. Cannabis is really cool though, because we bring a lot of people across the world, all over the globe, because Canada is obviously very advanced in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always had, oh my God, I lost it again. Oh, being in corporation. Sorry, Jesus. Because I've talked about anti-MLM quite a bit, and I always get shit on like, oh, you work for a corporation, you're 9 to 5, you answer to a man, you have all this, you have, okay, listen. The men that I work for, incredible people. Love them. Love them. They're like my family. I feel like they're more my best friends than my bosses. The women that I work with are incredible. We deal with, we have one of the most regulated industries out there. Like at first you couldn't even see a cannabis bud anywhere. We're a new industry. We're a new business. We keep buying new companies every 6 months. It is chaotic. It's stressful, but guess what? I have incredible health benefits. I get 3 weeks paid vacation. I get a structure. When I leave work, it's done. And I get so much from them in my personal life, and I'm secure. Like you said, I get paid. I don't have to worry about it. I get different options. So I just really hate it. Like when entrepreneurs hate the corporate, right? So it's just like, I get right now, there's a big turmoil in the last couple of years with nurses where they're struggling with the Western medicine and they're struggling with holistic, but it's like, we can have both. And they can work together synergistically, and you can still help people in that model, even if that holistic, you lead more holistically, because you could in those moments start leading people there. We don't have to be like against this and against that. It could just like blend, you know? And I don't know if you guys were there, but I was definitely like beginning of pandemic, no idea, to I hate Western medicine. It is evil. Don't even look at me, doctor, to now, and then being like, oh, now the holistic side is fucking telling me to do these weird things I don't want to do and put stuff up. Just, you know what I mean? Not saying it's not all good, but now I feel like I'm in the middle. It's like, why can't we have all of it? Why is it one against the other? It's the balance, like, right? And I bet you, is that where you kind of feel like, Lacey, now that you found
100%.
that? And now you have to be like stressing about how you're going to pay your taxes or what clients you're going to get. It's there, and you can use your talent and your passion to help people at a level that maybe you couldn't achieve on your own entrepreneurial.
There's no way I could have reached the amount of people that I have since November.
Yeah.
That is beautiful.
So yeah, no, it's awesome. And to have that, like confirmation that I am doing a good job. Like the nurses that I work with are like, oh my God, like, how do you know all this?
You're like, well, I did this little tour here for a second on my journey.
Yeah. So I'm really grateful for the position that I have now.
It sounds like you've landed in a place where people finally appreciate you and your knowledge too. Like, whereas I think our former employer found your knowledge threatening. That's my opinion.
That is very fair. And the fact that you're strong, confident about it too, right? Like not fake
Exactly.
confidence. Like fake confident people get very, and you don't even have to be a confident person, just sure in yourself, right? Knowing that you're speaking authentically your truth or how you feel. People that like have this facade, which seems like she kind of has maybe, struggle with real authentic people when they say things. I don't know what that's like.
Yeah.
And for yourself, Sophia, what about you? Like, how do you feel? Like, you're still obviously out there helping people. What does that look like for you currently?
So like I said, I moved in December. I can't even remember. There was like maybe 2 or 3 months where things were kind of confusing, and I was unsure if I was even allowed to make that leap. But I, at the time, unknowingly was mold sick and was slowly getting sicker and sicker. But at that time, again, like we're traumatized. Our bodies are processing the trauma as we're like unraveling all of the lies and stuff. And so like I felt like I had no choice. I had no income. I couldn't be on disability because I had just moved and I wasn't even able to get to like the office to get my ID or anything. Like it was
Couldn't
just
get your ROE. Like,
I didn't have an ROE. Like I had nothing. And so I just like I felt like I came to BC and I plopped here and I just like melted, like just fell apart. Like I like my immune system was shit. Like I was still dealing with the like injury from the thing too, I think, and still am. But trauma obviously and stress make that stuff come up like crazy. And so I was actively, sorry, my dog is just, I'm not comfortable, Mom. Okay.
We got 3 cats here. We get it.
And actually, sorry, side note, Lacey and I both have a black and white dog named Oliver. That's another fun,
That's so
fun little side thing.
I'm sorry. I hate this happened to you guys, but it was meant to so that you guys could do this. It's shitty now, but like things like that, you're like, okay, fuck.
Yeah.
God, universe, source, thanks.
Really
I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
I see what you're doing there.
Yeah. So I felt like I didn't have a choice. I like went straight into posting, but a little background information on me, and maybe some people can relate to this during the pandemic. I'm a very outspoken person. I put my thoughts online. I got absolutely sewered and railed. The Ukrainian community fucking deleted, blocked me. I had a spiritual awakening and my third eye was very open and my third eye showed me people talking about me in real time. And it was like, oh, for you. Okay, thanks for that. But it was like, don't talk to those people anymore, delete them. Like that was the message. So I was coming from, again, a very traumatized, sick place, trying to help people. It was very difficult to get clients because it was hard for me to post. What I started saying was it's hard for me to show up online. First of all, because of multiple traumas and like when you're not feeling safe, you can't be creative and put yourself out there. Like even now I'm starting to put more pictures of myself out there, but I still can't do the video. I'm really trying.
Well, I'm very proud of you for being here today.
Thank you.
So hopefully this is a start that helps.
Yeah.
You just have to keep doing it. Just push through the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Eventually your face and your voice are like your best friend. You're like, oh, that's just, but at first, like,
yeah.
I was like, I'm like, oh, why'd you look like that? Oh, look at your face. Like, what are you doing? You look so dumb when people are talking. Smile more. Like, oh. You know?
Yeah.
So I get it. You just have to keep pushing through.
Yeah, exactly. Part of everything was finding my safety in that. I have picked up a few clients, like it's been here and there and only as I can manage because I've been so sick that like my main symptoms were chronic fatigue, and brain fog. And there were some days where my brain fog was so severe, I would wake up and I wouldn't even be able to like make a list on my agenda of like, okay, eat breakfast, drink water, go outside. I couldn't even think. I would just sit and veg and like I couldn't read. I couldn't even scroll. Like I couldn't read text some days. So when I had one client that I wasn't doing like continuous coaching at the time, but I had almost a panic attack before one of like, I'm supposed to show up for this person, but my brain just can't like clear itself. And I know it's about the trauma and all the, like, you have to exercise, you have to do these things. But anyways.
So, your body was just like, no, though.
Yeah, no. And your body, what I've learned recently is the body takes longer to catch up with the trauma. If your mind is like, okay, let's go, let's start posting online. That's how my mind feels right now. Like, what do I have to lose? But my body doesn't feel safe. So I'm kind of waiting for it to catch up, but maybe I shouldn't be.
Very fair.
But I think this podcast is practice.
It's a helpful way. Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, it's and when you are outspoken and you have been and you've had that backlash, it does sometimes you're like, is this worth it?
Yeah.
Should I just disappear in the background because it would be so much easier if I don't put what I have to say out there? Not many people can critique me, maybe the people around me.
Mm-hmm.
And while I completely understand, because again, unvaccinated during the pandemic, and I am not educated or a nurse or a scientist or a biologist or a economist. So anything I said was either racist, homophobic, white privilege, or one of the other titles that you would have. Yeah. So I totally get it. I've been there too. And I think that's why for me, I just started picking all these different topics and being like, okay, let's talk about all these different experiences. I might not have them. I might not be educated, but these are people's experiences. So how can you argue me with someone's experience? Trust me, they try. But then I also like to try and bring people together. Like if right now in my series, I got a Botox injury series and then I have the COVID vaccine after. And now some people will discredit Botox injury and some people will dismiss the COVID whatever injuries as well, right? But it's like, if we can have them come together, be like, you understand not being believed and you understand not being believed, could we start coming to understanding that I want to be believed in my story? So, you know, I'm going to start opening about this topic, right? And that's why I love everyone sharing and stuff and being able to come together. And even though it's like, I hate this because everyone, I'm like, I'm so glad I met you guys. But it's like every time I meet someone, it's because of a shitty experience and like, because they've been fucked up, but because they're now empowered. So as much as it's scary, and I totally get it, people are going to fucking have opinions anyway. So like, I think you're so impactful. Like, I really want you to teach me more about tarot reading because I just got a deck. Sure. It's like a fun, cute little cat one too. Yeah. I was like, hey, I'm spiritual, but I'm also kind of like a nerd. So let's do this like cute one, right? So I think keep showing up because you'll attract the right people. I've had people come and go on the show. Some people are like, oh, I love that she talked about the pandemic and government corruption, but they're like, oh, she talked about breast implant analysts. I now hate her, right? Like, the message is going to hit. Right, it is. And sometimes when you're a mirror, it's a little lonely sometimes. But at the end of the day, triggering someone is going to either be medicine. It's medicine, right? So as much as it's scary, but like we talked to that one day, we were both talking, we're like, oh, I just have no want to do content creating like this. Love this part. When we leave and now I got to go edit this and then make reels. As much as I love doing that because I want everyone to hear your stories, I'm like, I hate this so much. And I think we said that the one day, we're like, we're artists, but we're not content creators.
It's like people don't realize how exhausting the back end of the business or even creating. Because I did a ton of videos on coaching and like healthy eating. That was kind of my thing. And people are just like, make more videos. It's like I physically can't. It's like the amount of research I do before to make sure that I am, you know, on par because I'm a nurse. I will get shredded.
Yeah, you can't just say anything. Exactly.
No. And you want to, right? And I think too, is just having humility. I think that's all I would love to see going forward with people, of just being like, nobody's going to be perfect and know everything, especially in such an evolving world. And I think if we could just admit that and say we're trying our best, you know, that there are risks to anything, that everyone's journey is different and unique, but we're always going to just show up and try and do our best. I think that's like the main goal and message that we all want. You're not going to be perfect. Let that ego go, hey, I'm not perfect. I made a mistake. I really thought that this is something good and I've bitten off more than I could chew. If I just be real, babe. I guess that's the whole point of the show. And it's messy sometimes and it's uncomfortable, but you know what? I think we can all attest to going through the uncomfortable is so empowering. And now coming to the other side, you're now going on to the journey that you're meant to be. And obviously I hate to be this person, but this happened to you. So you can message and share other people that like, hey, you want to go back and help medically in a corporate space? You can, and you can be empowered to help people still, even if that's, you know, you took a detour for a little bit. And same with you, Sophia, too. Like, you know, eventually you're going to get that voice back where there's nothing that's going to rock it. And then anytime you come up to something, you're going to laugh at it and go, ha, yeah, okay.
Right now, it's just the trauma laugh, like the laugh that slowly turns into a cry.
To tears, yes.
And then you like look at your partner and you're like, not again.
Absolutely. And I think we all need that. We all go through it, right? And I think it's having grace within ourselves that it could be 3 months down the road and maybe one of your friends starts some sort of coaching business and you're like back down into that moment of bringing you back, right? It's all about the journey. But I think you guys are doing such a great job of taking it with grace. And I love that you're not taking it down. I also find it interesting that she's going to stand 10 toes down, but then so are you guys, right? And unfortunately, you're not going to have to serve the karma. that she's going to have to
Yeah,
serve,
well,
unfortunately.
we're receiving opposite karma because we stood true in what we believe, which is authenticity and truth and showing up for people, and yeah.
Actually helping them
Mhm.
and not just pretending. And now look at the beautiful friendship, you know, and the cheerleaders that you guys now have, which for the rest of time, it doesn't have to just be about this. I'm sure you guys text each other random stuff too. Like, you know, like we're like, oh, I pooped this yesterday, you know, like, especially because you're medical people.
I literally
right? So I'm
told,
sure.
this is something, actually, I don't know if I told Lacey this, but I was having like that flare up that I was describing to you. And I was like, Lacey, can you please help me? Because Lacey's the only other person other than my brain, just so you know, that I trust to help me with these things, because
100%.
nobody knows anything except me, it seems. Everybody comes to me, and then I go to Lacey because she knows more than
Yes.
me. But I don't remember if I told you this, Lacey, but I was struggling, and oh no, I did. And I was like, I know there's something with my kidneys. I need to fix something. Like, there's a few things that I was doing, and I had stopped a couple protocols or whatever. And then I had a dream, and the only words that I remembered from the dream were renal calculi, and that means kidney stones. And I woke up and was like, oh my God. And it literally felt like a spiritual meeting about my life here on 3D Earth. And it was like, that was the only words I was allowed to remember. And like, that's what it felt like. It was so weird.
And that's what you text your best friends about, right? Like that you could be honest and open, because you know no matter what you're going to say, even if it's a picture of your poop, that your friend's going to accept you and work through it. And I think that's what's so cool about these disastrous experiences that you go through, is the beauty and the friendship and the strength that you'll now find from that. And it won't be every single day. It won't be always, but you guys are now empowered, and you've empowered other people. I know I was like, oh, I'll take an hour and a half. I lied. We're taking 2 hours today. Is there anything that we missed? I'm sure there's a lot that we could, and I definitely would be interested if you guys want to come back again another 6 months, share where you've come from now too. But is there any flags that you guys maybe want to share with the community before we leave today that we may have missed? I feel like we covered a decent amount.
I feel like we got everything.
Yeah. Just be aware and listen to your gut, I think, is the message.
Yeah, it's like the thing that I picked up on right away with us was like we all, it just felt like a collective like dropping and walking away. Like, this is not what we're putting our energy into. Like, to some degree, we were kind of looking into the lawyer stuff at first, and then we were like, this is not what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be like Lacey and I working on our business, looking forward, because that's how we're going to help people, not dealing with all of this like lawyer bullshit.
No.
Yeah, I just think like, even though it has been the hardest year of my life, I know there are so many, like, there's already so many great lessons of this. One of them is treat your interview like a two-way interview. And like, that's something I will always stick to. Like, although I hope I never have another interview again, but
no, but still, good lessons for everybody else out there, right? Because, you know, there are people that are going to have to go work for corporations or other coaches or things like that, or entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
We're not saying all entrepreneurs are bad, but like you said, those red flags that you're like, is this orange? It's like, not that you guys could have done. I think you guys handled it pretty well. I feel like as soon as there was like decent red flags where you could be like, factually, you're fucking up, you said something, right? Because before it was just elusive.
Yeah.
Right? Up until September. And then it was like, oh no, you're actually fucking this up.
Yeah.
I guess from like the client's point of view, a red flag you could maybe avoid is always paying by credit card. And why I say that is because she would offer an incentive for paying with e-transfer, and e-transfer, you're not protected. So when you don't get your goods, whether that be your coaching program or your results, you can do a credit card chargeback, whereas the e-transfer, you're totally screwed.
And you can cancel it, like, because I think you can cancel a lot easier on a credit card too than an automatic payment. Is that fair to say?
So you would have to do a chargeback. So you would just go online and say, like, I want to do a chargeback, and be like, why? Well, goods wasn't delivered, and then the
at least get your money.
Will reimburse you. Yeah,
that's crazy, because too, like, it's not just the people that worked for her that got shaded on this, it's clients as well too, right?
Yeah, it's clients.
And I mean, you guys have no way, because she wasn't paying you by credit card, so there's no way. But if you're a client, that's a really good point. Have it set up with a credit card so that you have at least some form of stopping it, getting it back, and some form of insurance. If it's just an e-transfer, it's like hard to can even track that as like, that was a business transaction. At least with the credit card, it's like so legit that you can see, like, there's no arguing.
It is, especially going into an unregulated profession. Like, holistic health is so, like, it's such a large umbrella. Any Joe Blow can call themselves a holistic health coach.
Yes.
like, yeah, there's no union, there's no association. You can, like, some nurses can apply to be part of the Canadian Holistic Nurse Association, but it doesn't give you very much. So for the huge amount that you would pay in a year, it's just not worth it.
It's hard because it's like you don't want more government regulation because, like, really, we could use less of that. But at the same time, it's like a board of peers at the minimum to hold, like, I don't think it should be government, but I do think a board of peers of, like, even voted in, you know, something more of like a democracy of, like, making sure that we are following standards and stuff, because there are a lot of people and scammers out there that are like, just take this, just take that, you know, oh, Western Pharma bad, just take this supplement, and then all of a sudden, like, you don't know, and that supplement is like depleting a vitamin or a mineral, and now you're sick, or like, you know, I've fallen down a lot of that way. So now I'm like, I'm even scared of, like, natural stuff now. It's like, oh my God. I just need people, like, you know, like, balanced people, right? And I think that's where the world is coming to, a balance of Western medicine and holistic, and how can we come together to give ultimate care to our clients. I think that's where we could go. And I think that's a good place to end off, because I could chat your guys' off apparently for another probably hour if I could. This is amazing. I really appreciate you guys' time today and sharing your stories, and I'm really looking forward to the continual glow up. And anytime you want to be sassy, Lacey, you let me know, because I'm always into being sassy. So any other time you want to share stories of anyone pushing back, I love that. Please continue standing up for yourself, and very awesome of you for being the leader in this. I'm sure the girls appreciate you, but at the same time, Sophia, I'm sure she appreciated the backup and the validation that, like, yeah, I'm saying this for the right reasons. And Lacey, I think you're kind of like me too. And I'm sure Sophia the same way, but I feel that you're like, you fuck me around and I'll get mad. But, like, now you're fucking with everyone around me. You're lying, you know, like, you just stack it up. It's just like, sometimes we're good at taking the personal, but then the minute it starts showing that it's everybody, you're just like mama bear for your girlfriends, right? And, like, we're not doing this. So please keep doing that, guys. I really appreciate you guys and your time today. Guys, make sure, if you're listening, to like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and until next time, bye. Thank you guys so much for listening. I truly appreciate the support. If you like this episode and you want to hear more, please follow the Be Real Babe podcast on Spotify, Apple, and Rumble. You can also find me at the Be Real Babe podcast on TikTok and Instagram. Until next time, guys, bye!